Recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Everybody's read the minutes. Are there any additions, corrections? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Commissioner Terry makes a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Everly. Is there any more discussion on the minutes? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes approved. Next is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
The only thing that was me, how's it coming out there, Edith? Anything happened?
I emailed them again yesterday, haven't heard back, so unless we wanna hire somebody else or do it ourselves.
Well, before too long, the summer will be gone again then.
Well-
Put Kevin Evenson out there before, if we wait too long, the summer will be gone again.
Well, for the sake of the process, why don't we just add the Kevin Evenson property to old and unfinished business? We'll do right after this. We'll put it on the agenda. So, okay, we'll add that. Okay. Are there any other additions, corrections? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Everly makes the motion to approve the amended agenda. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion on the agenda? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agenda approved. Okay. First order of business on old and unfinished business is the Housing Authority Board member replacing Jeff Holhauser.
I had talked to several people who would find a way, but then somehow I ran into a guy at a wedding and I thought he'd be a good candidate. He thought it over, Spencer Larson.
Okay.
He said he would serve.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for appointment on the Housing Authority Board? Not hearing any. Guess, Gary, if you want to make that a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to nominate Spencer Larson.
Okay. Commissioner Holm makes the motion to appoint Spencer Larson to the Housing Authority Board. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? The appointment of Spencer Larson to the Housing Authority Board. Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Appointment approved. Next will be the Kevin Evenson property.
I just can't find anybody to clean it up, so
Yeah.
what we wanna do about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless the county wants to do it themselves, which I know we don't wanna
Did
do.
we actually put anything out for bids, or were we just seeking someone?
I was just contacting different businesses.
Maybe we should try putting it out for bids and see if there's more, other than people that we're not thinking of, maybe we just put it out for bids and see. I would think that probably the requirement for the bids would probably be some kind of liability insurance or something, and yeah, it'd probably be similar to if we hired a contractor for anything else, I suppose.
Yeah.
See if anybody wants to put it out for bids and.
So who did you all contact?
Well, I couldn't even tell you how many there was, whoever I found in the phone book or online. The only one who responded was Aero Service Team. And then last month I emailed them before last month's meeting and said we were gonna have a meeting in a couple of days. Asked if we could expedite a estimate, and then they CC'd the owner of the company and haven't heard back, so I emailed them again. I don't know.
So I guess that would be another option, just to put it out for bids and see if we can find someone that we're thinking of.
Sure.
I don't know what to do, I guess.
Like I said, I know locally there really hasn't been a lot of interest. People are either too busy, don't have the help. So.
Where would a guy even put it out for bids? In the record or?
Well, I mean, I'm just a suggestion, I guess. I don't know what else to do because calling around hasn't. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. See if Custer Health has some kind of process or what they do.
Right.
See if they got any ideas since they probably handle this when we do.
Well, I know I took the reins just because I thought it'd be easy. I'd hire somebody right away. I wanted to make sure it actually got done this time.
Well, I
And
think
now it's like
Nagel's
banned by
back
existence.
again, isn't he?
What's that?
Didn't Nagel sell his business?
Trash Incorporated, well, yeah, I mean, that'd be the only thing too, I guess. I don't know if they have new ownership, you wanna contact them, see if they're interested, but,
They don't take over to the first meeting.
well, like I said, if you put it out for bids and they're interested, they'll probably do it too, then I guess that, I mean, that probably seems like the most logical choice right now, it's just to advertise it out there that we're looking for someone and,
Right.
That's a touchy deal.
well, that's definitely, I mean, going into someone's property and cleaning things up.
It's always gonna be a tough situation.
Not exactly a bunch of people lining up to do that, I'm sure, so. I'd say put that out there, maybe, like you said, contact Custer Health and just see if they have a process or something and something to kind of streamline it, I guess. And I don't know, unless somebody comes forward in the meantime or something, I guess, I don't know what to tell you.
You know, last time we waited too long, then it got winter, you know, and that's what's gonna
Well, I
probably.
don't think we're really dragging our feet, we've tried several, I mean, those people really just aren't interested in doing it either, so.
That's a mess.
Historically, the road department's done it, but we already know the situation where we're shorthanded and need to do our own work, so that used to kind of streamline it too, is just send our own equipment.
I would wonder, yeah.
No, it's not, but, so that, I mean, that's part of the process too, we've never really had to go out there and look for a lot of people to clean it. Last time Kevin cleaned it himself, so this is the first time we've really had to look for probably an outside source to come and actually clean something. It's not that easy, so. Anyway, I guess, something to probably maybe get an update at the next meeting, we can probably just keep it on old and unfinished business for next month, make a note of that. And just keep talking about it till we come up with a solution, I guess.
Sounds good.
Giant flood comes and washes it down the creek, I guess, remember? Okay, so on to the next item of the agenda is the county committee member to replace Corporal Ogren. So the county committee is the committee that handles annexations for the schools, basically, right? It's kind of almost like the county school board, if there's such a thing, and so.
And he no longer wants to serve, and Bacher is gonna be dissolving, and the meetings are gonna start in October. So we can try to have somebody on board by October.
Okay, so we need to find a replacement then.
So is Bacher,
Yeah, yeah.
is Bacher dissolving by this next school year? Or they got one more
They're
year?
not gonna be, they're gonna be dissolved, there won't be no more school next year.
Okay.
This coming year, right?
Okay. As far as that, I don't know if that was really district-based either, I mean, that committee was just kind of made up of whoever we could find, right? I mean,
Right, you guys tried to find one representative from every district.
right, but it was pretty tough for that too, because we were trying to find more school-based people since it's a school-based board kinda, so. I mean, that's why like core leaders, and it's mostly made of either current or former school board members and teachers basically kind of, so. Not saying that's a requirement, but that was kind of, they had some experience in that stuff.
Right, I think that's why, but like up north, we have, Scott Baumiller serves on it, we have Joanne Kuhlman, Bernice Kettler, Stephen Newsma,
Yep,
and then we just need somebody to replace Kurt.
right, try and find someone from Lytton or Lytton area at least, just because we got Strasburg, Hague, and Hazelton kind of covered, so. Anyway. Okay. Well, if somebody knows somebody interested,
I'll put it on the agenda next month again, because we should
Yeah.
probably have some.
well, you should put that under old and unfinished business too, then at least, so at least it gets brought up again, so. Okay, next on the item is the contract for superintendent services. So that's
I emailed,
That's
I
pertaining to
sent
the
out the contract. in
school
you guys'
superintendent,
packet,
right?
Right,
Yeah. Looked like it's pretty much the same as last year's one, right? Because it's the same contract. Just the renewal. Basically, you're just looking for approval of the contract then, right?
right,
For renewal.
so we'll have to approve for another year.
Yeah.
We'll make a motion.
Commissioner Everett makes a motion to renew the contract with, what's the company's name again? I remember. It's, yeah, Central Regional CREA or something, right? Yeah, Central Regional Education. So, yeah.
Negotiation.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Everly to renew the contract for school superintendent services. Is there a second to that?
Okay.
Seconded by Commissioner Holmes. Is there any more discussion on the renewal of the contract with CREA for school superintendent services?
So who actually is that?
Well, if I remember right, it's,
Brandy.
well, Brant Dick is kind of the one that handles it, but it's kind of a group made up of like former superintendents and then they're going around and helping counties. The school superintendent services is a big part of what they do.
Yeah.
Right. Because most counties are like us, and you don't
And
really,
it does,
right, really, it's getting to the point of counties where you really don't need a school superintendent for annexations. It's gotten, you really don't need one for all the other stuff's kind of gotten by the wayside or taken over by the school, right? So kind of found a niche here.
there's a math counts and the spelling bees and stuff, it's all done by the school.
Right, so a lot of that the school superintendent doesn't even do anymore, so basically they're just handling annexations is a huge part of it. Okay, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Contract renewed. We're a little ahead of schedule here, so Mike's not here. City of Strasburg, I'm guessing is not here. We'll wait on the resignation. We could go down to the approval to remove Anita Ibach from the clerk of court. Checking account at PNC and add Kathleen Dock.
Is Anita done? No.
Yeah. And so we need to, in order for Kathleen to start signing checks, BNC requires a copy of the commissioner minutes,
Right.
given the authorizer.
So it's basically just something to show the banks so that they can take Anita off the account and put Kathleen on the account, so.
Yeah, I will keep that. You need a motion for that?
Yep, you need your
I'll
motion.
make a motion to put Kathy and remove it on that bank account.
Okay, Commissioner Materi makes the motion to remove Anita Ibach from the clerk of court checking account at BNC and add Kathleen Dosh to that account. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Everly. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Certificate of significant community support for the city of Linton. That's just for, is that for a streetlight project? Or-
Yeah. Yep,
It's for the lights, right?
Yeah. It's kind of part of their funding, or something like their, we've done that before with their grant process with the federal government. They require letters of support from local jurisdictions, so we've done that for some sidewalk projects and,
so you would basically just need a motion to do this and then,
but they basically drafted the letter already. Yeah, it was in our packet, so, yeah.
I'll make a motion to be,
So what's our involvement in that? Just to,
Well, hang on for a second here. So we got a motion to, sign on or approve the certificate of significant community support for the city of Lytton by Commissioner Holmes, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Now we're in discussion, so go ahead, Don.
just what's our involvement in all that? Anything? Just,
I don't think there's any financial or nothing. They look for these
it's
letters.
something that you guys support the
Yeah.
project, basically, what it is.
they're not asking for money or nothing, they're just,
It's kind of a part of the federal grant process is they want to see letters of support by their, usually if it's any city in the county, they want the county to sign on something. So we've done that a few times for the sidewalk projects. This is part of the process, so. Okay, so we have a motion and a second regarding the certificate of significant community support for the city of Lytton. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, certificate approved. Well, we're all out of stuff until somebody shows up. Yeah, it's gonna be about the only thing. Move on to some building permits. I seen a thick agenda, so I wanted to keep it moving.
What are you gonna do with this link?
Well, we'll just go to the building permits, yeah, because pretty much everybody else, departmental budgets, nobody's here for that. Municipal airport, I'm assuming someone's showing up. tax director position, there's probably somebody showing up for some conversation. The only other thing to probably deal with is I know that Comstock construction management, but I'm assuming somebody from that courthouse committee that we formed probably wants to be here for that, so.
Yeah, but I haven't made a meeting yet. Every time they got a meeting, to be able to afternoon or something.
Yeah. So on to miscellaneous here.
Yeah.
So we have a building permit for Jaren Bender. 14 by 70 trailer house in the southeast quarter, section 5, township 134, range 76.
Just try to look at.
Yeah, Josh looked at it, and then I know Jaren had called me too, because they checked into the setbacks and all that, and everything was clear on the setbacks from what I was told, so. A motion to approve.
Yeah, I guess if it was looked at and it's okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah. Commissioner Holm makes a motion to approve the building permit for Jaren Bender, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Kevin Bernhardt to build a new home on section 6, township 133, range 74.
That was all checked out too?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure all this was checked out. I know Kevin had called me about it too. It sounds like it's quite a ways out there.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the building permit for Kevin Bernhardt, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Yeah, well, usually if there's a map on here, or something, Josh has looked at it, so, yeah, so this is Josh's map, so I'm sure everything's good, so. A building permit for Schick Land LLP to build 255,000 bushel grain bins on Lot A, southwest quarter, section 23, township 135, range 76. I'm assuming it's the old Werner farm.
John, or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh looked at that too.
And bids are quite a ways out there, so, yeah. Motion to approve, table, or deny the permit for Schick Land LLP.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Holmes. Is there any more discussion on the building permit for Schick LLP to build 2 grain bins? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Permit for Jeremy and Sherry Holzer to erect a 24 by 36 storage building. Lot 12A, Glenwood Acres, section 27, township 132, range 79, which that must be down, it's south of Beaver Bay, I think, the Glenwood Acres, right?
Let's look down.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the building permit for Jeremy and Sherry Holzer. Is there a second to that? Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Doesn't look to be any notes or anything by Josh here, so I'm assuming it's showing the setbacks are all good. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Building permit for Verizon Wireless for modification of existing antenna facility on existing 300-foot tower, northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of section 25, township 131, range 76. A lot of times with these, they're not really doing any work, they're just
changing.
equipment on the tower, so there's really nothing other. Which, yeah, they're usually about 30 pages, so.
Yeah.
You read through it if you want, right, but yeah, they've done things for us.
Let Joe look it over.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Commissioner Hall makes a motion to approve the permit for Verizon Wireless. Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Doesn't appear to be any notes, everything looks to be. So, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Building permit for David Schmidt to erect two 35,000 bushel grain bins and an 80 by 150 full machine shed on the northeast quarter, section 36, township 133, range 76.
Josh didn't look at this because this came in yesterday, but
Yeah.
it's just gonna be 500 feet from the site.
Yeah, he's way over.
Is it out at the farm then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll make it. Did you make a motion?
Yeah,
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the building permit for David Schmidt, seconded by Commissioner Holm. Is there any more discussion on the subject? Yeah, I just got some. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Building permit approved. Building permit for Eric Bernhardt to erect the grain bin on section 6. Section 6, township 133, range 74. Looks to be the same area where Kevin's got his building permit for the house.
His son, right? Kevin's son.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll make a motion for that too.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Everly, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Looks like Josh has a map here, setbacks are good, no issues. Any more discussion on the subject? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Building permit approved. Next is a building permit for Brian and Mary Schmaltz to remodel existing home with new siding, windows, and also concrete driveway at section 7, township 132, range 76. Doesn't look to be any structural building, just driveway replacement, siding and windows.
There's a motion to approve it.
Commissioner Holm makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Where's that at? Where do they live at?
Just right outside of town. You're right where you turn off on the highway. Was that it's Highway 11 though, isn't it?
On the north side.
Or is that still 13? No, let's get that mixed up. The highway going out to the river.
First place in the north side.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where it's old and now it's.
So we got a plat for Auditor's Lot A in the southeast quarter of section 25, township 130, range 79, west of the 5th principal meridian.
Josh looked at both of them.
Must be down by the state line or close to it. Alright.
So what are they just straightening out some stuff or what are they doing there? Oh, and then I share land?
If you guys want, I can call Kathleen and maybe she can explain.
My book shows it's, either Harvey Lane theirs or Kelly Severson. But it's an auditor's lot, so it's. Yeah.
Gotta be the west side.
Says the southeast quarter section, I'll be found,
Be quarter would be right. Well, it could still be on the west side.
West side, right there, when the curve of 10 goes to the east.
Yeah, it could be on the east or, yeah.
It's on west side, 82.
oh, it could be just a small lot, but,
It's like 2.5, 145 point something.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you, I don't know.
I
don't tip like, decide to share.
I'm familiar with that one. That's just a field that she's selling that she needed to survey off so that she'd have a legal description. I'm not familiar with the other one.
Well, they're two different plats, so. Okay, so this is, so the one we're dealing with is the 2.51 acres of Auditor Lot A.
To the west of it.
Yep.
Then it's gonna build a house in the percent.
Josh said he checked it out, everything looks good as far as the lot size, anything above an acre is usually okay, so Looks like it's set back off the highway, all that stuff's legal survey, so. It's stamped and ready to go, so.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve. Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve plat. Auditor's Lot A, southeast quarter, section 25, Township 130, range 79. Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Plat approved. Next plat is for Auditor's Lot 2, south half, southwest quarter of section 25, Township 131, range 75. This is the one that's 47.82 acres.
That's Ida shares.
Yeah, this is the one with, it says Ida shares.
Huh?
Yes, that, you good.
Everything looks good. Josh doesn't have any notes on it. Should be good to go. So, motion to approve table or deny the
I'll
plat.
make a motion.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the plat, second by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Plat approved. Liquor license for Mike Keller doing business as Cattail Resort for a one-day event, July 22nd, 2023, located in the track southeast quarter, section 8, Township 130, range 79.
I'll make a motion for that too.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the liquor license, seconded by Commissioner Materi. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Mayor, route permit for the Gray Rock property.
Okay. Gary, you didn't have any issue with the liquor license at Cattail Bay, did you?
I'm not aware of it, and
Okay.
I have no idea what the event is.
Yeah, it doesn't say either, but it's just a one-day deal, so I'm assuming some kind of band or something on the outside, or,
My suggestion is at least they clarify what it,
yeah.
rather than being so vague. Is it an outdoor concert?
Doesn't say under the.
What's that?
They usually have a band.
Sometimes, and unfortunately, I don't find out about it till the day before. I need to have a conversation with him, and I need advance, heads up on that a little bit more than a day or two. Sure.
So we got a raffle permit for Grayla Foundation, which was Kelsey Birdsall. We did the same thing last year. I think it was. Yeah. Yeah, we checked into it, I think, a year or two ago when they first did it. They did it, so. Motion to approve table denied raffle permit for the Grayla Foundation and Kelsey Birdsall. Motion by Commissioner Everly, is there a second? Yep. Seconded by Commissioner Holmes, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. I think for now on, Marlis, when you get these liquor license applications, I just run them through the sheriff's office right away just to make sure everything's kosher and still have a liquor.
That's July 22nd. July 22nd, Gary.
July 22nd.
It's now 9:30, so we will have Mike Deerwester, the petition for order requesting to discontinue and close and vacate Washington Avenue in Pendrick, Emmons County, from the Tenvick Road north to Lincoln Street south. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I brought it back on your guys' suggestion to close just the block of Washington, in the front on both sides. And I didn't bring a map, I thought the little screens would be up, but anyways, if you remember Washington, the last one, it was a full length of it. Well, now I just have one block there. I own both sides on the block, and I'd like to close that road down.
Chairman Mayor, did you guys have maps? Did I give you maps?
I don't
Yeah.
know. if we-
I've got them back.
I got them.
You need
You
them?
got an extra one, yeah?
And it was said if I owned both sides of the road, it would be easy.
So basically, you're just talking just the one block.
Just one block, yeah.
Yeah, I say no to that and the whole thing. Does the trash goods all some of the property over to there?
The garbage, Tony? No.
They don't, okay. They just own what they got there. They're for their east.
Yeah, they're north they're north of where.
Okay, okay. Oh, yeah, they're.
They're right on,
Okay.
yeah, they're right on the highway, or
Okay.
the main road, the dirt road. Gerard owns property back behind it onto the side of that road. But he signed the petition, he'd like to get
Yeah, no
close
problem
to
with
it.
it. And you'd be the only one, okay.
And Abbott is bins over there and Wills, right?
What was that?
Abbott's and Wills own the bins, correct?
That's correct.
Well, when you mean
yeah,
the
Will-
Tenvick, when you mean the Tenvick Road North, though, you're talking about the actual Tenvick Road that's labeled here, right, not 72nd Street.
Right, the one in the plot, in the.
Right, that is
the old
actually the
town.
Tenvick Road,
Yeah,
right.
and Wills owns property in there too.
Do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
the boy does.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize that. Yeah.
So did
That
we,
Timmick Road had me off like that.
we approved a variance for him to build a building there because he owned both sides of that deal, right? But we never, Washington Avenue, right, is that?
Well, originally he wanted to close it going north and south for a few blocks.
Right.
And then he just narrowed it down to just that one block where he owns the property on both sides. And I think part of the reason is because if you look at that map, the road runs through his property and then
Right.
the structures on the west are built where the road should be. So there's really no way to rectify that situation.
Right, and that's where I'm just saying, though, when he came in last time, the last month or the month before, and he had acquired the property on both sides, then we issued a variance for him to build that building, cause the right of way wasn't closed. And that's the reason why you're petitioning for the right of way to be closed now, right? That's, cause you own property on both sides, where that road is and everything. Is there anyone here to object to the petition? Ron?
How far south did I go there? Lincoln?
I would go basically, yeah, from the Lincoln Street to the Tenvick Road, so it would go,
To Wills and Jerry Birdsell's house, right?
yes.
Yeah, the road
Could be a dead, isn't it?
The Lincoln Street would still continue, I mean,
Well,
it-
Lincoln Street
Yeah.
would still go through.
Yeah, right.
But on that curve, once it curves to the north, then it would be closed.
That's, I couldn't.
Right, yep, so it would be closed from there up to, like, basically east of Bertzel's where that curves north, and then it would basically close like that property of, that must be Joey Schlosser's right there on the corner where it kinda,
Right,
right, so that
but if
that
you look
block,
at Lincoln Street on that map,
yeah.
it shows it going straight through, doesn't it?
Right, and that would still be open, and the Tenvick Road would still be open going to the curves, it's just that patch in between the two, that's your property would now be closed.
And it will be closed then, correct?
No,
No, according to the road.
just the
No.
Washington Avenue.
yeah, just the Washington Avenue, so that whole
Just the
intersection,
Washington
yep.
Coming down.
So the roads going east and west there, like that Tenvick Road would be open from,
Yeah, it'd
Yeah.
be open all the way
right,
through.
that would be open all the way through, and technically Lincoln Street would be open all the way through, it would just be the Washington Avenue. The argument too, really, Joe, like we had talked about before, with that road technically going on his property, he could probably close part of that road anyway, really, in theory.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it would end up as a court battle, but.
Well, we have that Weber situation out at Beaver Bay, it's kind of familiar.
Right.
You know, we have a road in somebody's lot, are we supposed to move the road? I mean, I hate to see us do that here.
Well, and the trouble is too, is that you have, I mean, now you have, easement, you know, there's been a certain period of time where, you know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you can see
you
when I
have
zoom
to a
in.
judge to decide one way or the other, but,
Yeah.
I mean, with him owning both, basically, he owns Washington Avenue essentially, because he owns to the center of it, and then the right of way is really just.
And there's a building right smack down in the middle of it anyway.
Right, I mean, it's a kind of an encumbrance, anyway, so. Okay,
I don't
well,
know.
really nobody here opposing the petition. Petition does have signatures on it from local landowners. So, I guess in the interest of time here, I'll just entertain a motion to approve or deny the petition from Mike Deerwester. He's requesting to discontinue, close, and vacate Washington Avenue in Tenvick, Emmons County, from Tenvick Road north to Lincoln Street south. Entertain a motion to approve, table, or
I'll make a motion to approve it.
okay. Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve the petition for Mike Deerwester. Is there a second to that motion?
No.
Seconded by Commissioner Holm. Is there any more discussion on the petition by Mike Deerwester?
I just wanna make sure we understand it's from the Tenvick Road to Lincoln Road.
The actual labeled Tenvick Road, not the Tenvick Road as in 72nd
Yeah.
Street.
That's
Yes.
why, I just wanna make
Yep.
sure that's clarified.
If you go in one city block in Tenvick, if there is such a thing as a city block in Tenvick, the next road going east and west is called the Tenvick Road. So it'd basically be one city block essentially. Right, it would be the Lincoln Street to the Tenvick Road right there, so. Any more discussion on the motion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Petition approved. Okay, Mike?
Thanks, guys, I appreciate it.
Yep. Is everybody here from the city of Strasburg that's gonna be here? Okay, floor is yours.
Morning.
Morning.
Do we need to sit? Okay.
You'll get you guys' names just for the record.
Yes, I am Sonia Schumacher, Mayor of Strasburg.
Robbie Wald, City Commission.
Adam Grusher, City Auditor.
So what we would like is, the city has acquired some old houses down in Old Town. I don't know if you're all familiar with that, it's on the northeast corner of town. We would like to tear those down, but we need some help with removal as far as equipment and manpower. And I'm wondering if the county can help us with that?
How many houses he talking?
There would be 4.
And it all has to be hauled to where? To Winton, to the field over.
I would imagine,
It's
yes.
probably the only place that you can haul it to, I assume.
What do you mean by help? Are you looking for payment or something, or what?
No, we would like assistance, like we'd like to use some of your men and some of your equipment. We don't have the equipment for that kind of stuff.
There's actually a guy that does that. He does it for the city of Linton, tears the houses down. I'd rather see you contact him than us supply men to do that, because we're short-staffed with.
That's what we hear.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Russ Lawler actually does, and I think there were, if I remember correct, I thought there were a couple of them, but I know Russ Lawler is one of them that does tear houses down for the city of Linton.
Okay. Guess we can go that route. Do you have anything to add?
Do you have someplace where he would haul it then?
What do you call it, the straws, dump or no?
We can, with 4 houses, though, I'm sure that'll fill up pretty quick, so we'd have to do probably, it would take us a few years, I'm sure.
Do they let you? Can you still
Yeah,
work?
yeah, we'll burn it, but that's what I mean, with 4 of them, we would have, I mean, it would probably be full, we'd have to burn it, and then, you know, maybe 2 a year. Who knows, I don't know. Just
Are they
depends.
pretty big? Big houses?
Yes.
What will remain down in that old town? Dave Keller's house?
Dave
and then-
Miller's house, and then there's a storage
Yep,
unit that we got from Larry Coos.
and the old share house, where Feist lives?
No, that one, like Steve Feist's house,
Yep,
we just acquired that one.
okay.
And we have Langler's next to it. And then there is one on the corner, whose house is that?
It's an old Silver Knob, Mrs. Silver.
Do you know, Joe?
No, it's out of my head, I'm trying
And then
to.
one rises, and that shed.
Yes,
Is that still inundated with water?
the one is, yes.
Andy's, right?
Yep,
Okay. So you can't even get to it, can you?
well, no, it kind of poses a problem.
No?
We'd have to figure that one out, but,
Be a wintertime project maybe, yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Wintertime project maybe if it freezes hard enough.
I think you'd have to do that because I don't even know if the streets would hold up to, say, like a side dump or something like that. I think you would push right through with a little bit of asphalt that's there, and there's not even asphalt, I think, once you.
I can tell you this,
There's gravel.
we just parked the timeout bus
Yeah,
down there last week and it got stuck, it was
Right.
sinking in.
that's, I mean, cause I know I fixed a broken water main down there years ago, and you could hardly get any trucks in there. I mean, it's pretty bad, the water table's awful with that little slough lake deal filling up, so, I mean, you'd have to do it in the winter, and, I don't know. I think the big issue with us is committing any kind of manpower or equipment right now is just, especially, I mean, until we at least fill our staff, and if it was a winter where we're not pushing snow every 3 days, then, you know, I mean, it would probably almost be more fitting to see if we could hire it out, and honestly, if we were gonna entertain some kind of cost share just to assist, it almost would be easier on our part and just hire it out to, you know, somebody. Well, so there's somebody local, I mean, there's a few people that tear houses down, especially in the winter.
Right,
I mean, it doesn't seem fair to take away business from the private guys with the county stuff. I mean, I know it costs a little more money, but honestly, we probably can't even afford the manpower anyway, so.
okay,
So that would probably, I guess in my opinion, I would probably be more in consideration for a cost share and get some quotes from somebody private.
okay,
And then as far as the disposal, I think we do have some control over that with the, you know, I mean, we worked the deal out with the pit with the city of Lytton there.
Well,
But I mean, it-
she said they could probably haul it to Strasburg.
Okay, well, and that's the other thing too, a lot of times the
It's
state
got
will.
the cost, if you can.
Well, I know the state will allow you to dig a pit, like for the city
Yep.
too, they usually will grant a permit, so that would help out too a lot, cause even with the hauling, you know, if you hire someone and you can cut the mileage in half, that's gonna be. Cause I know when we tore down houses in the past and we hauled it to Wishick, that was like the most expensive part was you're hauling it 40 miles and then you have to have light loads covered, you know, so as far as even just getting a bid, the closer the pit's gonna save you a pile, well.
Okay.
How about, didn't Feist have a pit out there that they used to haul a bunch of stuff out to?
Well, the problem is you have to have kind of a state permit when it comes to
Yes.
houses, cause there's rules on the shingles, the
Yeah.
siding, if you have any kind of asbestos materials, when you're tearing down houses, especially as a municipality, there's a lot of regulation to it, so.
well, I guess we can look into contacting some private ones first and then see where we go from there and.
I think if you get some prices from some private folks and come back to us, I think we would probably entertain a cost share much more than committing our
And I've got phone
employees.
numbers if you need it, I'll get it to you, so.
Okay,
Just put that.
yeah,
Clyde might be interested in doing it too, Russ or Clyde.
Clyde Bush.
Okay,
Another one is, I know K&H has tore down houses too in Lincoln here, so.
In the winter, they would have.
Right, so I mean, those are just a few local names that would probably have some interest, or at least tell you no, I guess, but.
okay, okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's a few names out there, people that would probably do it, and I think it would probably be in the best interest of us to just maybe help you out financially rather than the other way.
Okay, all right, well, we appreciate it.
But I'd say just stay in touch with it as you find information, bring it forward, or either attend the meeting again or give it to Marlis at least, and we'll come up with a decision, whatever makes the most sense.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
so Comstock? Yep. Well, we're a little ahead, but are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, I mean, the floor is yours if you're ready.
Sure. You want us to?
Yes, front please.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having us up here today. My name is Jason with Comstock Construction. We met with Sheriff Sanders and Craig a couple weeks ago, kind of to go over what some of you guys are thinking about. And I'm not sure how you guys want this to go. I have a little bit of kind of general information about Comstock here I can hand out. I don't know how familiar you guys are. I know that we did send in a proposal a few weeks ago also that kind of outline some of our stuff, but just curious if you guys had any questions, or you want me to just tell you a little bit more about Comstock, or?
Well, I guess the main reason you're here is you're talking about management of the project for renovations to the courthouse, basically. Or you'd be looking to be essentially a general contractor?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So we do have the ability to self-perform. I know that was in our proposal, that we, in-house Comstock Construction can self-perform like civil work, like exterior, which doesn't really pertain to that too much on this particular project. We could also do like the demo work, concrete work, precast erection, steel erection, not really pertain to this particular project. And then any kind of like carpentry, whether it's rough carpentry, finished carpentry, hanging cabinets, doors, the stuff that we do in the house. And then anything that was, we'd have to get something. And then we would solicit those subcontractors, get competitive bids on that stuff, manage them, making sure that everything's covered, scopes are covered, things are being done properly, and
Sure.
et cetera.
Okay.
So we've done a few projects like this. We're working on the Richland County courthouse right now. It's more of an HVAC type upgrade. We did one to their law enforcement center a year or so ago, and now we're just getting ready to do like a HVAC upgrade to their courthouse. So we know that historical society type of stuff with these older buildings too. We need to follow, make sure that we're doing everything properly, saving what we need to save, and restoring stuff like that. And I don't know if there's any specific questions that you guys have for me. We've been in business about 100 years. It'll be 100 years next year. We're a fourth generation company. And originally started in Wapaton. We do have an office in Fargo also. We do work pretty much the whole state of North Dakota, down into South Dakota, and
So then you guys would probably handle like the invoicing from your subs and.
Correct. I mean, that's how I prefer it. The invoices would come to us. We would make sure that they're overbilling, making sure everything's that, and we would send invoices to. Right.
Cause I mean, I think that was kind of, the message relayed from even like the committee and stuff too, is that a lot of these folks wear multiple hats, so it's already hard enough completing their day-to-day activities without managing a construction project and multiple subcontractors, and so, I mean, that's our main interest with getting a general, so.
Yeah. So kind of our policy is, it's like an open book type policy with us, so we would solicit contractors, try to stay as local as we can. Anything that we can't find local, we'd spread out to find those contractors, making sure that, that everything's bid competitively, making sure scopes are covered, and then just making sure that, and then all the open book, so we'd have that discussion with you, like electrician A was this amount, electrician B is this amount. We've had issues with electrician A, maybe we have that discussion with electrician B, or just as an example. Sure. Kind of provide some big advice that way.
So do you get all licensed and bonded contractors?
Yes.
Gary, you have any committee input or anything like that?
No, I met with Jason, he, came here, did a walkthrough, on-site walkthrough, kind of visit with me and Greg, what we were trying to accomplish. He brought us forth, we got a drawing for the exterior of the courthouse. A positive.
We do have a list of kind of all the things we went through that day. Not that that can't change, but we tried to take this right. Kind of discuss what the needs are and what the wants are, and then obviously the budget plays into that factor too. So we have to make sure we cover the needs first. It's available. And we know that it's public money, so we have to be good here.
How long does a project like that take?
You know, it really depends on the scope. You know, I know that there's lead times, in a perfect world, I know that there's talking about doing some electrical and mechanical upgrades. So the lead time on some of that material is quite a ways out, so we would like to solicit that work, get that work bid, stuff ordered, and we don't want to tear anything apart until those materials are coming. So there'd be a lot of work behind the scenes that would happen prior to us physically being on site, ordering materials, et cetera, so that once we kind of dig in, we got ready to put it back together. So it kind of depends on the scope. I know that wasn't a great answer for you, I don't know how to okay, but we talked about roofing repairs and that doesn't take a whole long time, but some of that other stuff has longer than 10.
Gary, when were you guys, did you guys ever discuss about when you would look at trying to get started or anything, or?
Well, that's actually dictated by the timeline by these federal funds. There's a timeline that has to be followed.
Until they are approved and everything?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the government that has allocated this funding for the county has given all counties, all jurisdictions, a timeline on when those funds have to be allocated and designated and when that project has to be done.
What is the deadline, Dale?
24, you have to have everything decided what you're gonna do in 26, the construction has to be complete.
Yeah.
26, okay.
December 31st, 2024, all funds must be allocated to a specific project. Okay, and by the end of 26, those funds must be spent. So there's some time here.
So you got plenty of time, yeah.
But the
Well,
problem
I don't know if I can put plenty of time, you might be a year out on a window or something, I mean, that's not getting, I mean, at least that's, I mean, as a contractor myself, I respect your answer that you even gave something, because it's hard,
Yeah.
you think you have a project figured out, and then you're back ordered, or your subs don't show up because they're labor shortage, not getting their jobs done on time, I mean, that's,
It's kind of a crazy world we live
I
in.
mean, obviously, it's a very doable project, but yeah, I mean, that's, in the last 3 years, a lot of that stuff has changed. It's made it very difficult, so, I think the most prudent thing is to, not rush into a decision, but we need to be diligent on making a decision too. We can't hold out forever, there are deadlines and probably other places with similar deadlines as us, so I mean, there's other needs there, I mean, there's gonna be other places, this funding, it's ARPA funding, basically, it went to a lot of other places, they're all looking for places to put it to, so it's part of the reason why it's difficult to get contractors and everything too, because everybody has some money, so.
I would just add, if the commission on this document here, Jason had provided to us, and it was in your packet, page 7, the fourth block, providing service. You guys had a chance to review those, look at those, any questions for him on the hourly rate, percentages, you may have page 7.
Yeah, I
A copy of the proposal?
I got my.
I just look at it.
Yep.
I have a packet on the table, it says don't forget, and I forgot.
Sure, right here. I've got a couple here that.
It's in the packet, right? 'Cause I looked at stuff, yeah. I had a note that said don't forget, and it's still laying there with a note saying don't forget.
So, I mean, I can just briefly kind of explain it to, just so it's not. Thank you. Yeah. So like, there's gonna be some pre-construction services and that would be, we may have to definitely engage some design people to help us design electrical requirements, speccing out roofing materials or whatever that case may be. So kind of that stuff, budgeting, I know there's gonna be a budget that we're gonna have to work to. So we're providing estimates and budgets all the time that we're kind of working through those plans. That's kind of all pre-construction stuff. And the reason why I provided an hourly rate is you just never know how much work goes into that. It could be a 6-month deal, or it could be like a 2-month deal. So I just felt it was best to provide an hourly, but I mean, I'm open to discussion on either of these. As far as the fee, just a 6%, so like I mentioned, it's open book. We may self-perform some, we have the discussions with you guys, we subcontract some of it. You guys get to see what those invoices are, and then it's just a markup on top of the cost of construction work, the 6%. And we also put in just a, like if we do have to get design, typically that runs, we haven't engaged any design people yet, but typically that runs about 7% of the construction cost. Just so you guys have a feeler for what those costs may be. So I know it's fairly, it's not real definitive because we don't know exactly what the scope is. I know we went through the sheriff's and Craig, a list of, what we need to do, but obviously we'll have to work within that budget too and see what we can get done and what maybe has to wait, or maybe we can add to it, who knows, but.
So with inviting Comstock here today and everything, are you guys just looking for approval to move forward?
Well, that may be something you may want to have further discussions, but yes, I think we need to go forward with the whole project, obviously.
Right, but the intent here is that if you, we can discuss it further, but your intent is to try and engage someone pretty soon so we can start moving forward with this project, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions for me or about how we maybe structure this? I know there's a lot that has to get kind of hashed out yet. It's not all defined right now, but that's why we start working on it.
That's a total gut out down there, isn't it?
Well, we're looking at replacing the ceiling, the HVAC, there is no air conditioning in our roof mounted system and the thing here, and the documentation that you have is kind of goes through there with Jason, it explains what we're trying to accomplish. There's a need and then there's a want, obviously. Part of the big, part of this puzzle is the auditorium downstairs.
That's the thing.
Absolutely, it's a major, bathrooms, the ceiling, the lighting, the HVAC system, the kitchen area, the stage area, all updating all that. The bathrooms downstairs are horrendous, they need to be updated out. And then there's issues throughout the courthouse, mainly on the exterior. A lot of the brickwork, the staircases need some attention, or it's in dire need of a lot of repairs and stuff.
Replace the letter on top, the V for you.
Yeah.
Small shit like that.
Yeah.
Took years for me to notice that too. You know that it's a V out there instead of a U.
Yeah, it's a major deal.
And then now that you notice it, you see it every time you look up there. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I think it's probably something to probably just keep considering. Probably maybe discuss it over with the committee a little bit again too on some of their findings and try and make a decision soon. Within reason.
Are there other contractors that have stepped to the plate to submit bid and interest in it?
Well, I think we can discuss that later, yeah, but,
Yeah. Cause I would say let's just put some kind of a timeline. We wanna make a decision within, a month, 2 months, 3 months?
I think within a month, within the
Right.
before the next meeting or so forth.
So, I would say the idea is probably have at least, do you have another committee meeting scheduled soon or something?
We don't have one scheduled yet, but we can have it.
Well, I think that would probably be the best case would be to just go over a little bit more finer detail on stuff, and then if we wanna make a decision as far as engaging these guys' services and move forward with it, or, just make sure we're all on the same page, not that they come into it, now we're still hashing out
Right.
a few details, cause we want them to go to work as soon as, if we're gonna bring anybody on.
Yep.
I don't want them a part of a big hash out project where 3 people are disagreeing with other 3 people, and
I agree.
so we need to probably streamline exactly what we're looking for so that whoever we bring on can go to work right away. So, if that's fair enough of an answer, at least.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and then if there's anything else, more information you guys want from us, just
Sure.
feel free to let us know, and we can.
Well, your proposal looks good, and I appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah,
I mean,
Thanks for having us.
we're absolutely gonna be doing something, and,
Yeah.
so.
Well, we'd like to, we do a lot of this kind of work, and we work in the wrestling community, so we'd be a part of it if we could, so.
Sounds good.
So where you guys, I know you said you have a few different offices, where are you guys out of, where are you from?
I'm in Wapaka.
Okay.
Yeah.
All you guys?
I'm in the Wapton office as well.
Okay.
I'm Farmville.
See, you're a fellow Wapton Wildcat,
I am, yeah.
even though nobody really is like, go Wildcats, kinda, I get their alumni paper every once in a while.
Okay, you'll see me in my team got inducted into the Hall of Fame last fall. And I'm actually going into the Hall of Fame this coming, so I think that review's coming out like this week, so.
Really?
Yep,
For athletic stuff?
for football, yeah,
Oh, what the heck?
yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, yeah.
I didn't attend any sporting events when I was at college.
No, there was a lot of them, most of them about Thursday night, campus got quiet.
Yeah, the weekends were pretty slow about it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely be in touch. I think we'll meet with our committee again and make sure we get everything ironed out, and we'll let you guys know what's coming forward.
Awesome.
Thank you.
If there's anything else that comes up, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we're still ahead of schedule here. I mean, if we want to take a break or anything like
You guys
that.
put these back?
Or not?
If you keep them.
There's a few extra ones.
If there's extra, but if you got them.
Is anybody coming in pertaining to Dave's resignation or anything like that? Or just go forward and discuss it, I guess?
What about, can we do anything with the road department now or not?
Well, the only trouble is we should definitely at least stick to the agenda with the resignation part, so I thought then you would just start a little early rather than.
Dave Montrose raises.
They're sitting out in the parking lot, I didn't see her.
Well, I know she had just told me she was gonna drop something off in the office, I don't think they were planning on attending or anything like that, so. Did Diane, she said she was gonna hand in,
She did hand in her resignation.
right, because the date was wrong or something like that, or.
Yeah, I asked her, yeah, there was.
Right, it was just a clerical paper thing, so. Okay, well, I guess we'll just discuss it here, so, and keep moving forward, so, so many of you, or probably all, when Dave Culver officially resigned from the commission, it was mostly due to health reasons, and, yeah, I guess for me personally, I appreciated working with, Commissioner Culver. He worked pretty hard at the end despite having a lot of health issues. People probably didn't realize that, so, I guess I wish him all the best and hopefully everything works out for him. Guy was involved with a lot of stuff. He was on the DFC board. He was on the weed board before he became a commissioner. He's always kind of been a man of service for the area, so, anyway, I guess we see him out there, tell him thanks, and, the duty is on us to replace him now, which I guess the first question will go to our state's attorney. What's the proper legal way to go about this process?
Well, I don't know that there's much guidance from the state, other than it just, the century code states that the remaining members shall immediately appoint a suitable person from the district to serve in the place of the vacant commissioner's spot, in this case Dave's spot, so we would need somebody from that district, I believe it's District 1, to be appointed, and then however you guys decide to make that appointment, there's really no direction from the state. We discussed a couple of different ways we could do it.
Musical chairs, foot raised, as long as we pick a way, I guess.
Yeah, they'll have to serve until the next election in 2024, and at that time, they can try to run again, or.
So what if there's more than one that wants to do it? Do we interview them, or how does that work then?
Well, I guess the little bit of research I did, and Marlis did have a little bit of input, but I know you were pretty new when it happened, but apparently
When I was first elected in 2007, that's when Chairman Ray Wickenheiser passed away. And what the commissioners did is they advertised, and there was like 4 or 5 that they interviewed. And at that time, district judge had to be involved. I know Judge Weefeld was here, but I don't think it states that in the century code anymore.
They probably just had a fifth basically then, right? They put somebody in there.
And so then they just appointed somebody after they interviewed the candidates.
That's right.
Cause I've had guys call me the last 2 days now about they're interested in.
Yeah, I've had several people reach out to me, probably about 6 in total, but how many of them actually would put their name forward for a process, I don't know. But I would say there's at least a couple of them that are pretty serious. I guess probably the one thing to just iron out right now, so if someone was appointed, let's just say today, they serve until December of 24, right, or November of 24, would be the last commissioner meeting.
They go till December 1st.
Right, I guess, yeah, if there'd be a special meeting before the regular.
They go till the first Tuesday in December, is how it is, or first
Right,
Monday.
but then that would be whoever wins the election, because the next election would be next year, so you'd be petitioning already come January for that position. But let's just say you were appointed, you weren't interested in re-election, you still serve for, what, 14 months now, 15 months? So, just so people would be clear with that, I mean, that term goes till basically December of 24.
Yeah, it's first, I believe it's the first Monday in December.
Because some people were asking me exactly how long ago was that. They thought it only went to the end of the year, then it was an election, but no, they have to serve through the election, whether they run for it or not.
So how many, they can keep running after that for as long as they want, or what?
Yeah, no, it would just basically, they're being appointed to fill the unexpired term.
Right.
And then they'd be running, so if you ran in the next election, obviously, like this time next year, they would be after a primary now, and then you would go through to the general, and then you would be, that would, because Dave was up next year, so. So basically, you're appointed for a 1-year term, and then you could run for an additional 4-year term if you were gonna run for the commission spot. So, just to clarify that for everybody. The other thing to probably clarify is there's probably no way to do it other than to probably do a special meeting just for interviews, and you would have it just like this, and it would be recorded. It would be open process for it. It'd be like when the president nominates a Supreme Court justice and then the Senate interviews them. I mean, it's gonna be, wide open to the public, to everybody, which is the way it should be. But, I mean, just fair knowledge to anybody that's watching this that's interested in the position. I mean, we're probably gonna end up interviewing somebody and sit right in that chair while we interview them, so.
I do have a question. Okay, say you had 8 or 10 people that are interested in, can you narrow it down, or do you have to interview all 8 or 10?
I don't see why you couldn't narrow it down.
I think you'd almost have to. I think in my opinion, if you were, let's just say you interviewed 5 people, I think you narrow it down to probably 2 and then you interview again. I mean, honestly, that would be probably the best way to do it, I mean, in my mind. I mean, at the same time, it's technically available for appointment at any time.
Right, yeah.
I mean, but I guess my opinion is I wouldn't recommend it with that many people interested. Unless somebody wants to make that move, I mean, it is an option, just so it's, just to be fair, we're not dictating the process. That position is up for appointment at any moment if someone wanted to make the motion and second and move over, but just kind of clarifying the circumstances, since it's, I don't wanna say unprecedented, but it's quite rare. So, I mean,
And if they don't like who would be appointed, the public could petition it, correct?
Yes, they can petition for
A special election.
special.
right, so I did just,
Well, I mean, you could do an election now, which takes time, but you can't. You
so
have to appoint.
just to
Okay.
clarify too, so I did ask, Marla says there were enough interested people, maybe in all fairness, we should have a special
That's
election.
what I was wondering.
The commissioners cannot request or create a special election, the petition would have to come from the public. I'm sure there would be X amount of signatures, just like any kind of public petition, and you'd have to go through that process, which it probably would only come about if you appointed someone that everybody just was extremely upset about. I don't know if I see a scenario like that happening, but, so if there was a special election, it would have to come from the citizens of Emmons County. This commission cannot create a special election, so. So that's kind of another question to be answered if someone was wondering about that. Also, that election would be countywide too, so that makes another, when it was just districts, you could have probably just had a special election in Hazelton, basically, having the voting place. Well, now you'd have to open up all the poll center, you'd have to have one in Strasburg.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It'd be a big process to have a special election. It's doable, and it's legal, but not with this right now. Basically, the duty's upon us to appoint someone, and basically, we're just choosing the process how we want to appoint them. I guess I would say my opinion would be to probably list the opening immediately after this meeting. Give a month,
Till the next meeting.
and then probably have a special meeting in the middle to end of August, so we could get someone appointed by September. You know, ideally. And even if we have to have 2 meetings, that gives you the back half of August, basically, because what I would suggest is that, let's just say you did an interview middle August, you'd wanna do another one probably the following week. I mean, you'd wanna keep it moving. I don't think you wanna wait, that's.
Is there a time frame? We have to have somebody?
It says immediately, but it doesn't define what immediately means. I think in a position where it's in this importance, I think taking 6 weeks, 2 months, I don't feel like we're being ridiculous with the timeline. Cause I think you could probably have you could have interviews even sooner technically, but you gotta leave a window for people to find out about it and then put their name forward. So I think you'd have to give like 30 days, I think would be fair. Because a lot of people do know about it, it was in the newspaper, if they're watching this meeting, they'll know about
That'd
it.
be plain long enough.
I think if we do a listing, just basically like a job listing, I think if there's no, I think you just basically contact someone, whether that's a state's attorney, the auditor, somebody, and just say, I wanna be on that interview list, and then you close it by August 15th, and then you try and have interviews within a week of that, and then probably get it down to 2 candidates, and then probably have another interview within a week of that, and try and get someone
So
in
you
by
want candidates
September.
to complete a job application?
I don't think a job application would be necessary.
Okay.
Cause it's really not to, to file for a petition, so basically just go out there and, I mean, the only other thing I thought about would be to have them petition for the spot, which means you don't.
Okay, so no references or anything you guys are gonna want as interviewing committee?
Well,
I'm just
why don't they
asking.
do it like when we signed up? You know, didn't you have to have 7 people or 8 people sign for you?
I did think of that too, the other thing to do would be to, you'd have to petition and get like 7 signatures, and if you had that and turned it into Marlis, then you would basically be eligible to,
I'm just saying, if I was on this interviewing committee, right?
yeah.
I'd wanna look at an application to see who this person really is,
It's
what kind of experience they have. You know what I'm saying,
Right, but at the same time, I mean, the argument would be is that you really don't have to do that to run for the position.
The thing, yeah, when you're running, you don't have to do that.
No.
That, you know.
I mean, I think if anything, that should be a part of the interview process.
Right.
I would say kinda like what we got on, get so many signatures that people approve of, you know.
Right, technically you need, what, 7 signatures was the way, or no, now that it was countywide, you needed, what, 30? 25?
25, I think,
I
wasn't
think it was like 25 signatures you needed.
it? Isn't it, Mark?
It just depends how many voted for that. I'd have to go see how many people voted for that position 4 years ago.
You know, one thing,
Number of signatures you need.
it does kind of create an interesting scenario where you just make them petition for the ability to interview. I don't know if that's a,
I don't know, it's tough to say.
I'll tell you,
because there's no
I'll say
form.
one thing, and the reason why I thought of that is I don't want to interview 14 people.
No.
You know, I mean, you know, one thing about it is if you're doing a petition process, at least it's, otherwise if you just call in and go, yeah, I want to be interviewed, it's like we could be interviewing people till the end of time that may not even be that interested. I don't know. At least if you create a petition process.
And then when you do your interview, then you're gonna want like a question thing?
I think we'd have to come up with a generic scorable questionnaire that we would be repeatable, because you want to ask the same questions of every candidate, just like a job. I mean,
Right.
you don't want to be asking, well, that guy didn't ask me that question, and then here you have a scenario like that too. You'd have to have, like when we hire for a position, we'll have to come up with some questions and have it be repeatable, so we ask the same questions to each candidate. I mean, that or it's public wrestling match on front door of the courthouse, which probably would be well attended. I don't know if that's relevant. I mean, it's not easy, I can tell you, no matter what you do, it's gonna be tough, but I feel like an interview process gives everybody an opportunity to at least participate. It gives all of us an opportunity to meet these folks. I can get phone calls all day long, and I don't know a lot. I mean, I know these people, but I don't know them. I mean, nothing like an interview process would be. And in all fairness, there's probably, I mean, you take like, down from the Hague area, does he know that many Hazelton people, or, you know, Braddock people, Kintyre people? An interview process it's a lot more informed decision, in my opinion. So I guess that's the way I kind of feel about it. I guess with this case, do we really have to follow up? I mean, we could do a petition and just make it like 7 signatures, like the district?
That's what
I mean, I don't think we have to follow state law on a petition, do
I
we?
would say if you get 8,
Do you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of making that requirement up, so I don't see why you would.
Well, I just feel like that's probably because one thing about me is if I'm sitting here, I'm not from District 1.
Right.
But if you have folks coming in and they got 8, 10 signatures from other people in their district, to me, that legitimizes their ability to come and interview for that position.
Right.
That's the way,
That's how
I agree with Don on that. I thought about that myself, thinking that that would be one,
So when I advertise the position, it's gonna be to submit a petition,
I think
a certain
so.
number of signatures.
I think 10 signatures, that's a good round
10
number.
10 would be a good number.
All from District 1 or from?
Well, you'd have to be, well, no,
It can be at
it
large. right?
technically would be at large, really.
If you voted in,
But
I
it
mean,
has to
really,
be from
I-
District 1, correct?
Well, then,
He has to
okay.
be
The
for-
candidate.
Well, the candidate has to
or
live in District 1, but like when I got my petition signatures, I could get them from Strasburg or anywhere when I ran for reelection, so.
whoever. Yeah, but it was at large at that point.
Well, so it is
No,
now.
still.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
they
what I
can get
mean,
it
right,
from
so
people.
my question is yeah, do we make
whoever
it?
can vote for that candidate can sign the
So if
petition.
you're an eligible voter, you could sign a
Yeah.
petition.
Right.
No different than a ballot measure or anything, so
Yeah.
I suppose it'd be 10 signatures.
So is that legal just to get a petition requested? They have to apply by submitting a petition?
The board has to come up with its process. As
Okay.
long as it's reasonable, it'll be.
Okay.
Well, cause I guess let's put it in perspective. If someone comes in and they hand an application and you read through it and you're like, oh, this person does this, that, and the other, and then they're not a felon, great, cool. But they might not even get 5 votes in an election.
Right,
If you think
that's-
about, at least the petition, it's like, wow, this person got 10 signatures, they all match.
Yeah.
There's at least 10 people out there that at least would consider voting for this person. I feel like that is at least a fair enough process rather, and it kind of screens out, I mean, are you serious? You need to go out and get 10 signatures.
That's the thing, you have to go out and see the
Right.
people to get them.
And it shouldn't be very hard. I
Yeah.
mean, really, if you're, I mean, and I like that part because I don't want people just like, oh, it'd be cool to go interview for that commissioner spot and have no intentions of taking it maybe, but if you're gonna go out and get a petition, you're at least serious enough that you want the position enough to get an interview. I don't feel like that's unreasonable.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I'd say that's reasonable. I go along with that.
So I guess the proper way
It's
to do
fair.
it is to advertise that petitions can be taken out for the vacant District 1 commissioner position. You have to live in District 1, but your signature can be any eligible voter in Emmons County.
We might have to create a petition for nomination that we can have them pick up at the auditor's office
There you
or
go.
something. And take
Well,
a
you
look at the petition for election and just kinda
You could just,
recreate it
you could
here.
just
I wonder if I couldn't just use that petition.
Well, maybe you can just
Why
use it,
not?
yeah, that's
It's
fine.
the same petition, essentially.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And I feel like that's right too, though, we're not just creating it just for a district, it's,
You just want the petition, you don't want a statement of interest or anything like that. Just-
I think if they can get 10 signatures from 10 eligible voters in Emmons County, I think that qualifies them to come for an interview.
That's what I think.
So we get as open a process as possible.
That we at least know they have some support behind them too, you know what I mean?
I don't know, you folks are citizens, does that sound crazy, or?
You still could have 14 people there.
Right, but I don't mind interviewing 14 interested people. My concern is interviewing 4 serious people and a few people that just maybe want to be a part of the process. I don't know if that'll happen, but I definitely want serious candidate. I mean, I want someone that's wanting to truly
By the
serve.
time you're done with all this, you're only looking at 12 months then until the election, so it's, I don't know,
Well,
it seems like a lot to just fill a position.
well, we could make an appointment that people aren't satisfied with, and you guys could be stuck with them for 14 months.
But then they can file a petition at their.
Yeah.
Right, well, then that person winning an election would only have about 7 months to serve, so in my
Yeah,
mind,
then
it's
you're really
still,
good.
I would think some of those people would have been here today if they were truly interested. So,
well, I
my
think,
opinion.
I will say one thing, out of the, I think 6 people that called me, I told them the same answer, and that answer was that it was probably gonna blending to what we did, was probably some kind of a process to put your name forward and then probably an interview process after that, so some of those folks might just be waiting to hear back on what we decide too, so. In all fairness to everybody, cause I had no clue what was gonna happen, so.
So how long you want me to advertise this?
I think just like we said, in my opinion, get 10 signatures and just give them those.
I think probably,
Run it for 2 weeks?
I'd say run it for 2 weeks and let's pick so what would the petition,
the end of the month.
the petition due date, what's the 11th now? Why don't we, August 11th is a Friday. Why don't we just have August 11th be the due date for, that's a month. It gives you a month to get 10 signatures. Cause then after that, then you could have, that would still give you the week, that would give you basically 3 weeks before the commissioners meeting. Before the next commissioner, is the next commissioner meeting gonna be on September 5th? That's the day after Labor Day, but that's the first Tuesday of September.
Usually we do, yeah.
Okay, so that would give you almost a month to conduct interviews. So I think if you give them till August 11th, which is a Friday, so that even kind of works out, because it gives you the end of that week.
What if we went to our next commission meeting, then at least we would know how many candidates we got.
Well, I think basically we're gonna have to have a special meeting and conduct interviews. So I think once it hits August 11th at 5 PM, or what's closing time that day? That'd be 12:30, wouldn't that be closing time on Friday? 2. That was backwards. So basically 2 o'clock, August 11th would be the deadline. That's the way I would see it. And then after that, Marlis would, inform us how many we have and we could start figuring out a schedule for interviews. Unless anybody else has a different idea.
So when I advertise this, you don't need a job description or anything, just a petition?
Well, any eligible elector can run for the position, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
regular election, you don't need that.
Do you run criminal background checks on county commissioners? Well, I mean,
I know everybody.
yeah, well, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that because you're technically not an eligible voter if you're a felon?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, well-
Right back after a certain period.
I guess the only thing to do would make sure that they're a qualified elector, so you'd have to probably do like you do any other county commissioner, you have to double check their address, and it'd be no different than when any of us turned in our petitions, essentially. It's partially a special election in that regard, you gotta turn in petition with the required signatures.
And it can be male, female, whatever, right?
No, men only, Don. Right, it can be. Don't start assigning genders, Don, it's 2023, you can't.
Okay.
You're on record.
That's right. So are we in agreement then, August 11th, 2 PM, that's a month from today? That gives them a month.
That's plenty of time.
That gives them a
That's more
month,
than-
it's more than enough time, I think it's more than fair.
Yeah.
And then now you have 3 weeks to conduct interviews, which I think is more than fair.
If you're serious, they're gonna step up.
I think it creates some urgency on us too to get those meetings done too, and then the goal is to try and would officially make an appointment, I suppose technically before the meeting, so that way they could come and do their oath of office and attend the September meeting.
Well, it should be appointed before the meeting, so you.
Or, I mean, you would technically make the appointment and then officially the September meeting would be their first meeting.
Introduction, yeah.
They can sign the oath at the September meeting.
Right.
Just like when Dan got
Exactly.
elected, he came to the first meeting in December.
That's what I mean, the idea is we,
First of your percent.
December.
Yeah.
well, cause technically at the last special meeting, we could make the appointment then essentially, because we'd be done with interviews and then that person would just attend the September meeting
Yeah.
and we'd have somebody by September.
Yeah. That's plenty of time, my feelings on that, more than enough time.
So I guess the proper thing to do would probably be to make a motion to list the vacant position, open to petitions. And, have it
Well,
closed.
That's why, I mean, maybe by our next meeting, then at least we know where we stand, if we have any at all.
When is the next
You're not
meeting,
gonna
August
get much
3rd?
time, though, to get it in the paper. I can only get it in the paper probably next week. It doesn't give much
The
time.
next
for these
meeting would be
people.
August
Yeah.
1st.
August 8th, no?
First.
Oh, the first.
Yeah.
August 1st would be that meeting, so yeah,
Yeah,
you
it'd be
technically
August.
only
Okay.
you'd have, that'd be 3 weeks. But
Okay.
it wouldn't even be listed till, I mean, technically, if you're putting it in the paper, it's not gonna be listed
It
for at
won't
least
get in
another
this
day or
week
two,
anymore.
right?
No.
The people that are interested are already looking at this position.
Right, but I think the question is that, you know, there are people that are probably still just finding out about it. I think you gotta just, in the all sake of fairness, it's kinda like with our public hearings, it's like, you gotta just have as open process as possible. That way, if you do skip a step or you miss one, you were so transparent, it's hard to accuse you of anything, which I think we need to be fair in this position, so.
Yeah, if we couldn't have it done by August 1st, then I guess going 11th, gonna.
I think we should keep it open for 30 days. I think that's a good fair round number. It's a Friday, so if that's kind of typically when the due dates are due for our petitions. It just kind of all rings typical bell.
I'm good with it.
Okay. So we're going to do petition of 10 signatures.
At large.
District 1 resident with at-large eligible or Emmons County eligible signatures. The deadline is gonna be August 11th at 2 p.m. They have to be into the county auditor
Yep.
by August 11th at 2 p.m. And then we will conduct interviews shortly after. And we might only have one interview if there's only, I say if there's less than 4, we probably do 1 interview. Well, I guess, you know, we don't have to make that decision. We could conduct multiple interviews even if there's only 2, so I guess we'll just be at least 1 interview, I suppose. The goal of having someone appointed by the September 5th meeting. So those are all reasonable terms. Any,
I agree.
okay? Should we probably have that in a motion in a second and voted on it, so we all on the record for agreeing?
Do it.
So the stated sentence I just came up with, basically, so yeah, we're at August 11th deadline to the county auditor, 2 p.m. Petition, District 1 resident, but the 10 signatures can be any eligible voter in Emmons County. Interviews after with an appointment before the September 5th meeting. Does anybody want to make that, put their name to that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Everly, is it seconded?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Holmes. Is there any more discussion on the appointment process? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, process closed. So, the only thing left to the agenda basically is departmental budgets.
Yeah, we're about a half hour ahead still.
For the airport?
Yeah.
I don't know, is anybody gonna be attending for the Lytton Airport?
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Okay, so that one we can't really move on to, so what about the tax director position? Is that something we go over, is that,
We can do that now.
okay? Do you have a schedule for the departmental budgets? Like, okay, so people know what time they're coming in, or, yeah. We'll start that at 11 then if that's scheduled, so then, yeah, tax director position.
Any applications?
Well, you know, I'd like to list it again, but I need to know what you guys want me to start this out with.
Did we get any kind of input from Pam on that position too?
Well, with her grade thing, we did, yeah.
Okay, and that was different from what we were listing it before?
Well, it just kind of depends which one you're gonna go with, like we had said. Let's see. She's got, starting out at 49,831.
That's what Pam's.
Yeah, and that would be for the 2024 budget though, so she has right now at 45,000 and given an 11% increase for the year, which figures.
And projected at 46, huh? And we're advertising already at that.
So what were you advertising for, 46?
Well, we were only advertising, I think, between 3,000 and 3,500 a month. But we were advertising,
3,500 a month?
yeah.
Think that comes to what, 35, 41, 42?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough.
It's not a very fun job.
It's gotta be at least 45.
Not a very fun job.
No, it isn't,
Well, you
no.
know, we've been trying to keep up with all the state requirements and everything, but you know, all these building permits and everything, none of them have been assessed, and we put a value on some of the stuff, but not what it should be, because somebody needs to go out and assess this stuff. But I mean, we've been keeping up with the state requirements, I've been submitting things into TAC to this, to tax commissioner's office, but it's just, somebody needs to go out and do this assessing, we need somebody. And every day that goes by, we fall further behind.
Yeah, we gotta raise it, because there's no way we're gonna get anybody.
Well, we're not. Yeah, that's the thing, we're not getting any candidates for that
So we have
position,
to
so.
raise it.
Pam's recommended amount was
45.
45, is that with the
Projected
eligible?
46 in 2024. Right now it'd be 45, but by the time we get somebody in, we're looking at 2024 anyway.
You're probably gonna, yeah, I mean, the way it's going now, we're already in July, I mean, you're gonna be lucky to get someone in by the end of the year at this rate.
I think we should advertise between 45, you know. I
And
think
her recommendation she has for 2024, she has 49,841.
49.
Which one are you looking at, Gary?
49,831.
That's her recommendation.
See, we don't need that. This one. That's it, yeah. I wonder where this one's from. It's a different one. That's my picture. Yeah.
Tree right there.
No, this isn't either. This doesn't have no tree. Unless you get out.
Well, the sheet I have here shows,
Projected 49, yeah.
right,
So we should at least go 45 to 48 or something.
We don't need to go with that, what she suggests, that's just the guy.
Right, I just say 40, because we're advertising to 42 now, we.
well, in this one sheet with the assessment on here, she shows that the minimum for that position was 42,600, the maximum was 59,700, so you basically, anywhere between 42,000 and 59 is the top and the bottom, it looks like the market average is about 49.
And that
That's-
49, I think, is if you're fully certified too.
Right, I mean, I'm just kind of giving you, that was just the assessment of the position, like, so just to give you an idea, you know, roughly, if you were barely any experience but fully certified, you're probably right at about 50,000, so.
Exactly.
If you're not certified, you know, the low here is 42,600, which was about what we were advertising for now.
That's why I
So-
think we should go at least the low 45 and then go up, I don't know, 48 to 50 or something, but
So should I advertise from 45 and 48, is that what you want?
Well, I think you might as well, I mean, like I said, if the market's dictating 50,000 for certification, why don't you just go a window of 45 to 50,000? And
Right.
well, depending on the experience, if someone comes in with some qualifications, you adjust that range. If they have some kind of qualifications but no certifications, you could still make the decision
Sure.
on, you know what? I think you have to do a little bit of a window so there's some room for negotiation, because I think if you have a set in stone price, that might dictate whether someone even applies or not, and you could be limiting yourself, where if you find the candidate you want and they want an extra $1,000 a month to make more than they're making at their job, that's a decision we can make, so.
Okay, I'll do that then.
So I would say advertise it at 45 to 50,000 depending on experience.
So you were advertising at 42?
No, we were doing it between 3 and 35 a month.
Right, they went on a monthly scale and it comes out to roughly 42,000 a year, which is the minimum on that market analysis too. So we are advertising on the low end, which is probably why we're not getting any applicants, or very few. So I think re-advertising it with a better range is hopefully gonna increase some of your applicants.
I have the departmental budgets
And I have them all in order here, so as they're coming.
Does someone wanna do their departmental, because, I mean, the tax director, that's basically the only question you have, right? What to advertise that?
Great.
Okay, so that's done.
Like I said, I have those in order as they're coming.
Okay. Are you prepared to start then, Gary?
I'm ready.
Floor is yours then. The faster we can get done, so we can go home.
I have 6 budgets for different positions. Where did you want to start?
I believe the sheriff is first.
Okay,
Yeah, because if you're going through, because the next one, so it goes sheriff, coroner, county jail, police contract, 911, and 911 general. If those are all your budgets, then that's the order. Okay.
Good morning. So for the sheriff budget, not a lot of changes except in the salary departments that we had previous conversations about here last month. There need to be some adjustments. I've got 2 vacancies and I am not getting any interest in those positions. I've had a vacancy since October of last fall. And, it's looking pretty grim. I've had no new interest in those positions in 5 months. Nothing, 0. So we need to seriously look at those salaries, which we've had previous conversations about and so forth. Pretty much across the line here on the budget, nothing has changed over 2023. Everything is pretty stagnant. I've tried to remain stagnant on a lot of stuff. The only difference would be in the PERS retirement for the employees. Looking to transfer into the public safety Indy PERS part of it rather than the standard. As you know, legislators are doing away with the standard PERS retirement system. Tentatively 2024, that hasn't been defined yet. There's still some stuff on the state side that they need to do to get the new defined retirement in place. So we're looking at transitioning into the new public safety, or I guess it's been in existence for a lot of years. But it's for public safety. That is sworn certified correctional officers and sworn law enforcement officers are eligible to be in the public safety retirement plan. Those transitioning into the new public safety retirement plan doesn't change anything for me personally. It doesn't change anything personally for my staff. But it is a separate group in PERS because the other system is going away. Okay, and if you guys are following where that's at on the state side for the retirement system, the new system that they're trying to get everybody on board with is sort of like a 401k, not quite, and it's not a defined retirement like we've got today. Those people that are in PERS today are grandfathered in and can continue doing PERS for the rest of their career, but it's going to affect anybody new being hired by Emmons County going forward in 2024. Okay, they will not be able to participate in PERS. Those that are in it today will continue to be in PERS. Part of the thing transitioning into the public safety retirement plan is recruitment and retention. It's going to be a huge part for recruiting an officer and retaining an officer being in that public safety retirement plan in PERS. Otherwise, they got to go into the other system, and it's not a very good system. If you're on the receiving end of it, I've been to meetings on the state side. It's going to work against any recruitment. So that's the reason to transition into the public safety program is for any new employees coming into my staff and the retention part of it. Okay, so I've included that into my budget. Other than that, the only other issue that has changed in my proposed budget for 24 is vehicle replacement. I went up $5,000 from $50,000 to $55,000. That's just the cost of new vehicles now that are coming in, which has posed another problem for me with ordering and actually receiving the vehicle. It has become a nightmare to try and order a vehicle and not knowing when you're going to get it. Right now, Delivery dates are anywhere from 9 to 12 months out. GM hasn't even participated in a fleet vehicle bid on the state side for more than a year. They're not interested. There's too much profit margin in the private sector. They're not even participating in the fleet vehicles anymore. Even if you're a local contractor trying to buy fleet vehicles, you just can't. They're not offering them. So right now, the new bids for the Fords came out last week. The window for ordering ends in September. Delivery date may not be till well after the first of the year. So I've got one budgeted. I've got a vehicle replacement budgeted for my 2023 budget already. So I plan to order one for this year, and I may have to order one this year in the next month or two, just to make sure that I have a replacement vehicle for next year, because I don't expect the delivery date to be before next March. Then there's a turnaround of setting that vehicle up, getting that vehicle equipped and everything else, and hopefully got them on the road by May or June of next year.
So what are you ordering? Are you pickups or what are you ordering?
Well, vehicles, Nelson Ford, we piggybacked on the state bid process to save that money, and Nelson Ford, home based out of Fergus Falls, has the state contract for vehicles this year. And Nelson Ford has actually had that bid for
A couple of years at least. Right?
oh, 5-6 years probably. They've been pretty aggressive on that on the state side. So, yeah. What we've seen in vehicle prices is the last 2 years for sure, a 10% increase each year. Yeah, it's almost to the penny, 10% increase.
So does it matter what vehicle you order?
Not so much. You know, the nice thing is some of the equipment is transferable from a GM vehicle to another GM vehicle, where Ford it's not going to be suitable. That's the biggest issue.
No, but I mean like a SUV or a pickup or...
Well, it'll be an SUV. Right now, we just put a Ford Explorer Interceptor on the road that Chief Deputy Pearson is driving. I think we've had that on the road for 2 months. We ordered that 14 months ago, just getting it on the road now. And that's the problem we've got is if we lose a vehicle in a motor vehicle accident or a major mechanical issue, replacement, you just can't go buy one anymore. And then it's the setup part of it, the equipment thing, that's a week to get these things set up. It's crazy. And it's the same problem everybody's got, just trying to replace vehicles and not knowing when the delivery date's gonna be or even when you can order them, so. Yeah. Other than that, my budget hasn't changed, other than, like I said, discussing the salaries, the benefits, and just the vehicle equipment thing. Everything else is pretty much static, as far as that goes. Have you got any questions on this particular budget item? Or?
So the wages that you input, that was just kind of what you came up competitively?
Yeah, that goes back to what we submitted here a month ago during the last commission meeting is that I was asking, what did I think we needed to do to be competitive on that? And that reflects that in that budget.
I guess my only question is just to make sure that even if your salaries differed from maybe what Pam recommended at the end,
Right.
as long as that we're still correlating to the system. I mean, if your salaries are going to be the new, as long as we're still following the step and grade processes.
Yeah, and those figures fall within that step and grade.
Okay, that's just my main, I don't want
They
to
do.
reinvent the wheel now, so as long as we're sticking to that setup and it's repeatable and stuff, that's my main point.
Yeah, it falls within that parameters. There's a minimum and a high and a medium, and those figures still fall within that.
And then you're gonna be listing your position openings with the salaries correlating to that?
Yeah, the quicker that we can get something moving on that, because like, I just not have zero interest in the position right now. There is. And I know in my conversations with other jurisdictions, counties, everybody's kind of doing the same thing. I mean, even in McIntosh County, they're looking at reassessing some of their values or salaries just to be competitive, from the road department to the sheriff's office to, it's.
Trying to pull all our deputies back from the
Yeah,
highway
I tell you,
patrol.
I lost 2 deputies that were poached you know, by the State Highway Patrol.
Time to take them back, huh?
Yeah, and, you know, I had a conversation with the colonel and the lieutenant and the captain of the Bismarck, and, you know, it is what it is, but.
They're in the same boat we're in, you know, they're looking for help.
Right, and they're getting aggressive on their bonus, they've got signing bonuses, they've upped their salaries, their beginning salary. I mean, both my deputies, when they left here, day one with the Highway Patrol, they took a $15,000 to $18,000 increase per year, right out of the gate. You know, so, you can't blame them for doing that. That's what it's all about, is, you know, trying to better yourself, so. Okay, any other questions on the sheriff's office budget?
I guess not so much with a specific budget for 2024, but for now, since we have it here, then are you listing that position actively now with your, or do you have?
I'm advertising for both vacancies.
At the higher wage?
No, because this is not approved yet, so it is still on the old salary and the old wages and so forth.
Right, I know, but I mean, this budget's not gonna get approved till October, right?
So
October, November.
Well, October,
October is the final
it's the
budget.
final budget hearing, I mean.
you're not gonna get it until then, more than likely.
Right, I mean, that's where I guess I was just kinda, cause the conversation we had, same with the road department, was that we were gonna try and list these positions even with a higher salary, I mean.
Get them going.
I guess my opinion on it is, I mean, we do have some reserve funding if we did find someone, if we have to adjust the budget at the end of the year to make it work, I mean, we need to get these positions filled.
But that's the only way I think you guys legally can do it, is that you have to amend those budgets.
Right, I mean, well,
for
that's, I mean.
2023, if I have to start advertising as this, because I don't wanna advertise for something that doesn't exist yet.
And let's, I mean, we might not look at a budget shortfall because we're already in July.
Right.
I mean, you know, by the time you really actually bring someone on, it could be September, October, so you might not even have to amend the budget.
And to be quite honest, on the salary side of my budget, I've had a vacancy since October of last
Yeah,
year.
good point, I guess you
haven't
actually
had-
have reserve
I
salary.
haven't had to pay salary
You have
because I
budget
don't
salary.
have the positions filled and they're not being paid, so my budget is fine.
Yeah.
For the sheriff's office.
I would say you guys should start advertising at a higher salary.
Well, I guess the big question would be is, do you have a salary to present? I mean, do you like?
What I'm proposing here today, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, but you weren't gonna post it until,
No, because I don't, it hasn't been approved yet, and I can't post it and advertise it until the board would approve that.
well, I think that should be approved now.
cause are you looking at advertising for a deputy one, is that kind of your position?
Yeah, the other thing that I've done is I've restructured my staff, so in years past, and this goes back to the grade and the steps that the counties are looking at adopting here, for all employees, right?
Right.
Which I think is a good thing, it needed to be done. But having a classification of a deputy one and a deputy two. Deputy one would be an entry-level officer, that they're a licensed peace officer or eligible to be licensed by the state of North Dakota as a peace officer, pass the background, everything else. Where a deputy two is a deputy that has more experience, has additional certification, additional training, and in the field can act as a supervisory type thing in my absence or the chief deputy's absence on a Friday night, a Saturday night, and so forth. So a deputy one and a deputy two. Deputy Vargas would be reclassified as a deputy two. He's got at least 5 years minimum experience to be a deputy two, 5 years of law enforcement related experience, and in addition to the five years of experience that they may bring in from somewhere else, you gotta have 3 years of experience in this county. It takes 3 years for any officer to get to know your community, where things are at, who people are. You can ask anybody that's worked for me over the last 20 years. It takes 3 years to really get to know. It's a big county. We may not have a high population, but it's 1,500 square miles, where things are at, who people are. It takes 3 years, it really does.
So right now, you're looking for, trying to get 2 more on.
Yeah, I've got 2 vacancies, there's 3 of us, and to provide that public safety thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it can't continue. We just can't.
According to your budget here, if I'm reading this right, then you're basically looking at bringing the deputy one on at about 70,000 a year?
Correct, yep,
And a deputy two would be 73,000 a year.
correct.
Okay. Well, I guess,
You're at 73 and presently right now we're at what? If I'm looking at this
55.
correct, it's 65, right?
Yeah, what?
At 65.
55. Yeah. If you go back to,
Make that big of an adjustment?
yeah,
Well, that's kinda like he just said, I mean, basically, that's where about the highway patrol's at.
oh, they're above that.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, just when you're
Exactly.
talking, your window, when you're
Yeah.
talking about these guys leaving, they're at 10 to 20,000, 10 to
The other thing is too,
18,000.
when you look at these larger agencies where you have lateral transfers within an agency, I mean, it's a big, big benefit. You have to compete with that. I've had people that have called and show an interest until they find out they have to actually live here. Can I live in Bismarck and just drive back and forth? No, not an option. Can be done. We have take-home vehicles. You are subject to being on call. You have to, when you're on call, you still have to respond in a timely manner. You can't drive from Bismarck to get down to Hague on a domestic violence at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna work. Or a major serious accident or something like
You might
that.
as well just come the next.
You've gotta be here.
Yeah.
You've gotta be
Pick
here.
up the dead one.
I mean,
Well, I mean, it's a conversation we've been having for a while. We can keep trying to stay towards the bottom and struggle finding these positions and struggle to get the services done that we're obligated to do. So, I mean, I'm not in love with it either, but I don't really see a way around it. I don't think there's a lot of options to do, so.
so my current budget is fine because I have not had to pay two.
Right, like you said, you have budgeted salaries you
Right.
haven't been expending, so
Right.
we probably won't even have to amend your budget to bring people on, even at this higher salary, and if we budgeted for next year, then it's a sign of the times, I don't know what else.
If you look at about a 3 to 5 year average for the sheriff's office, we turn back in close to $100,000 a year. Equipment, the expenditures and stuff, again, we still have to be good stewards of the funding and the taxpayers' money, obviously. And the idea is not just because you have a budget, spend it all. You still have to be somewhat conservative with it. And the idea is to turn that money back in that's not being expended back into the general fund. It doesn't stay in the sheriff's office, it goes back into the general fund at the end of the year. And Marla says the auditor can vouch, I mean, it's anywhere from $90,000 to $100,000. But again, when you do any budget, whether it's your household budget or your business budget, you cannot budget bare minimum on everything. You have those unexpectancies. Our jail budget, for example, I never know what that's gonna be from year to year. I mean,
So what are you gonna do with, you're advertising for new people at that wage? What are you gonna do with the ones that are on board? For their wage?
Well, that's
Well,
already part of
that's
it,
all
basically.
included in here.
Yep.
So they would get bumped up to,
What you see in the preliminary 2024 figures are what,
that would be the new wage.
right, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's made the adjustment to make the current deputies either the chief deputy or deputy 2, and the new deputies would most likely be a deputy 1.
Right,
Unless you
entry
get
level.
lucky, unless you could find someone, well, you wouldn't, because, right, your experience in Emmons County, okay.
Right,
No, that's
exactly.
fair.
Even if
So
you came
everybody's
from
coming
another
in and-
jurisdiction with 5 years
You're
of law
starting as a
enforcement
deputy.
experience, you still gotta be here 3 years
Sure.
in order to advance to
Oh,
a
that's-
deputy 2 position.
That's fair, I mean, if that's part of the job description, then that's,
Okay, yeah, that's my question. Okay, we advertise for this, say he finds somebody within a month. So do these other wages go up right away?
oh, as far as
Just
the
wait
chief
until the
deputy.
budget goes into gear. That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I don't know if that would be that big of an issue for the current, since we're
Well,
already.
I'd be pretty hard pressed for someone new coming in with no experience, don't make more than, that's why I said, the budget I proposed for 2024 includes those salary adjustments for anybody new getting hired and those currently in those positions,
Right,
yeah.
but I was.
I guess we can wait to see if we,
Right, but I mean, the opinion I think that we're of is that you can advertise those positions even for your budgeted amount, because you're probably gonna be almost going into your next budget with that, I mean, it's July already.
Right.
Right, you're gonna be bringing someone on October if you're fortunate, so, I mean, you might as well, I mean, even if there's a little bit of a lag with the budgetary numbers versus now, I think you have to advertise for that position now at that rate, just so you can start to hopefully cultivate.
My own fear is to advertise that and have somebody apply, interview with the expectation that that's going to be their salary and something happens in October and say, I'm sorry, I know we said this, I know we advertised it, I know we told you this, but that's not what it is now.
Sure.
That would be That would be huge.
Well,
So
I mean,
that's my concern there.
I understand that, I guess, but I mean, I'm just gonna speak for it like we've spoken before. I mean, I talked to a lot of county residents. I don't think I've heard, I've heard a majority, if not all of them, say that the reason we're not getting candidates is because when I tell them the starting salaries, they're going, that's just too low. I mean, it's not that they wanna spend money, not only anybody's advocating for it, but I think we're all just realizing that we've probably lagged behind on some of this stuff, and now we're trying to replace folks. It's just getting tough. And we're gonna, high tide raises all boats. If everybody around is picking off our employees because they're paying more, I mean, we're gonna have to continue that trend. That's a part of inflation and economies and everything. I mean, we can't stay cheap forever, and I would make the argument it's actually getting more expensive to live in the rural areas than it is in the urban areas, so.
Part of the equation to fill any of these vacancies, especially in my office, is getting quality applicants. I have had 8 total applicants, I think 8, since last October. 6 out of the 8 can't pass a background check. They can't, and they're hoping to apply that there won't be a background check.
Small town
That there won't be
somewhere,
a phone
right?
call made to
Yep.
prior employers, community leaders and so forth. And I've washed 6 out of the 8 out within one afternoon of starting the background check. It didn't take long at all. And I can fill it with a warm body. I don't wanna do that. I've been down that path in my career. I've been doing this a lot of years. And, that creates more problems, more liabilities, and more headaches than it's worth, believe me. I've been there.
Good labor's not cheap, and cheap labor's not good.
Right. You want quality applicants applying for the job. And that's one of the things, that I was commended on with our patrol. The reason they poach 2 of my guys are they're quality applicants. Okay, they just don't take a warm body. There's a certain level that you have to be before they're even gonna accept you and even offer you a job interview through that testing process and that interview process. And I don't wanna go down that path with just trying to fill a vacancy with some warm body. These are people, officers in your community that are out making arrests, use of force, use judgment on a lot of different things, are constantly interacting with the public. You don't need somebody out there that's gonna create a lot of hate and discontent and open up the doors on civil lawsuits for use of force or other issues. This world, you just can't today. It's, you want quality applicants applying for those positions.
Well, in my opinion, I think you should start advertising now rather than before the budget is all approved for next year.
Well, like I said, you gotta understand the position that they, I mean, you have to commit to that salary then in
Yeah,
the
well,
preliminary stage,
Okay, well,
so I mean, that's.
that goes the same for the road department then.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying that's his concern too. I mean, that's reasonable because like you said, you can't go and do that and then make budget adjustments in August and October to it and now you hired someone with this. I mean, you have to commit to those salaries, but I mean, if those salaries are correlating with, you know, that salary workup we've been working on, I mean,
Right.
the intention has been to raise the salaries in these positions where we're not recruiting candidates.
And these salaries fall within those parameters. They're not far outside, they're within those parameters.
So
We're kind of at the maximum.
What's
What
that?
your proposal is pretty much at the maximum. What I have here for a guy, the minimum, or the market value is about 63. So you're about 10 grand over the budget. And you're 2 grand below.
Well, that's entry level. You're talking about 7,000 above entry level type, no experience, you know, and so on and so forth. But, again, when you look at what Pam Binder has presented in the past, when you look at what the low is in the cellar, and you look at the high, and you look at the medium, we're still within that range. We're still there.
What are you advertising at now?
55,000 for a position. That's whether you have experience, that's what, I mean.
That 55, I.
No.
Well, and
it's-
and to correlate with that, that basically looks like that's the market value, so that just tells you that the market value in Emmons County is not cultivating any candidates.
But I can tell you right now, there are numerous jurisdictions that are having the same conversation that we are right now.
Yep.
They all agree they have to start looking at this and more seriously because it's getting to be a problem everywhere. You can say that, okay, that's above the market value today, but in 12 months, I don't think it's going to be. And that's for the road department, that's for law enforcement. It's, yeah.
Yeah, like the road department, we still need people this summer.
Right, I mean, that's the thing.
You know, that's something like, I know this afternoon after lunch, you guys are gonna have further discussions with the road department and some of the other budgets and so forth. But, unless the budget 2023, today's budget for me, is amended to include these new salaries, I'm reluctant to advertise for a salary that doesn't exist yet.
You can't.
I wouldn't have a problem going 10,000 up to 65, but, 75, that's a chunk.
No, there's not 75, it's, their entry level would be 70,000.
70,000, yeah, that's still 15,000 more, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Highway patrol starts out at 73. No experience, right out of the gate, 73,000. And they've got a $5,000 signing bonus,
That's the state though.
the state.
Yeah, it's a different ballgame.
Again, they had to get aggressive because they're having the same problem with recruitment and retention. So they poached a lot of county deputies statewide using that. And that's where a lot of counties are having the same conversation we're having. We have to start looking at this and be more competitive to get the applicants and keep them. Retention is a big part of it.
Yeah, we lost a couple good ones.
Oh, very, very much so. Absolutely.
So I guess one other budget question would be is that, I mean, can you amend a budget even if it's under budget?
You can amend the budget anytime you want, it's up to your commission.
Well, because the question I have is if you were going to amend the sheriff's budget for the remainder of the year and change those salaries, I mean, the dollars are there, like we just talked about. A lot of them are probably there at least, because you have deputies that haven't been getting paid a salary. So that budget is probably on pace to be well in the black if you wouldn't fill those positions.
Yeah.
So that would be, the idea would be to amend that budget to reflect those salaries so you could advertise them, and then,
Well, yeah,
you're still gonna be in the same boat with the preliminary budget.
with any budget, you have your specific line items in a budget.
Right.
1 through 20.
Mhm.
What's the bottom line?
Right.
And each year, we turn back in funding close to 6 figures every year back into the general. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Marla, but that's the bottom figure is what you're really concerned about, is not going over in the bottom line, not specific items. If I go over in gas, what I'm budgeted for in gas or other particular things,
Right.
that's not as important as my total budget.
Right,
Don't go over the total amount,
right.
what we.
Right, but
budgeted.
if then that was the case, then really amending the budget doesn't really make any sense either though, because you're probably not gonna break your bottom line since you haven't been expending those salaries.
Right now, I don't foresee that happening. because-
Right, and that's what, I mean, if you don't change the specific line item
Right.
in the budget, then there's really nothing,
No, you don't.
right, my point is that you still are ending up in the same boat where you have maybe an amended budget for this year and a preliminary budget that might not correlate to that amended
Right.
budget, so you're kind of in that same boat anyway, so.
Right, I mean, you take a specific line item in anybody's budget, if you go into the red in one specific line item,
Right.
okay, explain it, why, but if your total budget is still in the black, you're good. Yeah, you never wanna run anything into the red, avoid that at all possibility, but again, if you have an unexpected issue, a vehicle or a piece of, expensive equipment that wasn't budgeted for, you gotta have it, okay, it's gonna run that particular line item into the red, but overall, your budget's still in the black.
Well, I guess just speaking for myself for the sake of time on this thing, I mean, if you advertise that these preliminary salaries and you hired someone, I think that pretty much sets in motion what we'd have to do with the salaries. I mean, it would be pretty foolish to go and revoke them afterwards. I mean, not saying that committing to a preliminary budget is the greatest thing in the world, but we're also up against a circumstance where we need to bring people in. We have to fill these positions, so if you can bring someone in at that salary, I think that shows us that that's exactly the salary it needs to be at. I think that pretty much would give you a commitment from the commission. I don't know how else to go about it, because,
So what if you raised it 10,000 like Gary said until the end of the year?
well, you could even try that,
I
I mean,
would,
you could, I mean, you know.
I guess I would go 65, just, I range 65 to 70.
60.
And then you can see what, you know.
Yeah, I'm open to anything, but I think you have to increase it, obviously, because you're not gonna cultivate candidates at your current rate, you're not doing it.
No, there's,
So,
there, I haven't
I
had.
mean, I think you at least have to,
applicant
I mean, Commissioner Allman's a good point, maybe just even increasing it to that 65 and starting there, that way at least it's not such a,
It's a hell of a step up from where we're at.
well, I mean, it doesn't put you in such a bind where you're committing to a preliminary budget in June already, or July, I mean, that's still a reasonable increase, I don't think anybody would argue with that.
What's the additional increase on the plan itself that this county has to support?
Well, the
On
PERS is
benefit
the
package.
PERS is the percentage, so whatever
Right.
increase you
Right.
do, that percentage increases obviously too, so.
Right, yeah, it's,
18.4%, 4%,
How much?
18% is the,
yeah, 18
so I mean, you raise it 10,
18.04%.
I mean, you raise it,
yeah, exactly. The current standard PERS is 16.
16, jumping to 8.
Something,
it's gonna go to 18, so.
yeah.
So for every $10,000, it's an additional $1,800 a year on top of that too for the,
Yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah.
so.
You know, like I said, that's the hard thing, when I feel the call from somebody that wants interest in the job, and I can say, well, it's not official, but this is what they're thinking about paying for that position, my concern is a lot of people are gonna walk into this, well, you're not even telling me that that's what I'm gonna make, then
Well, I think that's where,
They
I
may
mean,
not.
would it at least be fair to give you a range of like 60 to 65,000 now? Because I mean, that's an increase of what you're asking for, right?
I would like, the figures that I've got here, I think are adequate. I think they're the figures that I've got on my budget here are where I need to be
Well,
competitive.
I agree with you on this stance,
Right.
though, is that you went off of that pay scale, which is, for me, that's
Right.
my hard stop. We've been
Right.
working on this thing forever.
Right.
I don't want to deviate from that.
No, I
So
understand.
that's where, like, when we told you a month ago,
Right,
come up with where you think your guys need to be.
right,
And that's why I really don't have a problem with even where you're at. I don't, I
right.
just, I know we
Yeah.
definitely
I
got.
stayed within those parameters
Right.
and with the figures that I got here, starting a deputy out at 70,000 roughly, and a few bucks.
Right.
Is where I really believe we need to be. And I'd love to walk out of here today and reclassify the advertisement I've got statewide, that those new figures include these salaries that I'm proposing. My reluctance is, it's not a done deal.
Yeah.
It's a commitment to the county to possibly pay that, but it's not a commitment. And people, when they're like, you're dealing with people's livelihoods. Am I gonna uproot my family and move there on the hope and the possibility that this might be my salary? I think people are gonna be reluctant.
So is that the salary they would start at even at a probationary period?
Probationary period, no. Probationary period is 1 year long in my office, and there's a 5% reduction during the first 6 months.
So if you brought in a deputy one, they wouldn't be starting at 70,000.
Right,
They would start at your
5% less.
Your probation reduction.
5% of the total.
Of the 70,000, 5% of the 70,000 starting salary.
So-
There's a 6-month review, a written review, that I go over, and pending an approved or a favorable review, they're eligible then, at the 70,000 for the remaining 6 months of their probationary period.
So how much of a jump is this percentage-wise? From where we're at today to what you're proposing? In an increase?
You have to do a quick math on that, so
20%.
20%.
20, yeah, probably.
But okay, let's just have this part of the conversation. If we were even entertaining the idea at
It's
65,000.
more than 20%.
At 65,000, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just kind of agreed, we all kind of nodded our head going.
Just
He's basically almost starting them out at that as the probationary period anyway, which I like that fact because by the time they earn the salary that we are kind of hesitant on, they've already beaten their probation, they've proven they want to be here, they've proven that Gary wants to keep employing them. In my mind, I think he's right where he needs to be then. I mean, you're debating over $1,000, $2,000 a year now here, guys. I mean,
Well, I thought 65, I mean,
but he's gonna be at 5% less than 70, which that's 3,500 less, so you're 60, I mean, we're rounding numbers here, but we're at 67,000 then.
Yeah, if you're at 65, you got another 3 less, I hear what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if we're at 65 was our negotiating point, he's starting out at 67.5, we're debating over a couple $100 a month here.
Yeah,
I feel like his 70,000, that's after their probation and everything, he's right in where we're kind of negotiating the same thing. I really don't feel like it's that far off, and I feel like we've already kind of made a commitment to these guys that we're gonna raise these wages so we can get folks into these jobs, and I think it needs to happen. And I don't think we're that far off here, I don't think your preliminary budget's off much at all. I know it sounds like a lot, but we already talked about, somebody's gotta be the bad guy and kind of break the mold of Emmons County always being the low end of stuff, cause we're hurting ourselves doing it, and that's coming from a guy that
Well,
doesn't.
we need to fill these positions.
Exactly.
And retain these people.
Yes.
There's a lot of money that goes into training and equipment, all this stuff.
Yep.
And you want that investment to be a good investment and make sure that they stay here. The last 2 officers that I had were here 5 years and 6 years, which was, I didn't have to hire nobody for 5 or 6 years, but now all of a sudden I'm sitting here with over half my staff is gone. And I got guys working way too much right now. There's 3 of us. You know, people think that the job only consists of driving around. That is so far from the truth. Between the criminal investigations, civil process, answering calls for service, and everything else, there's no time for patrol anymore. It doesn't exist. Not with 3 guys. It doesn't exist, unfortunately. So, what I would propose is again, you don't have to amend the entire budget, but and that can be discussed after lunch when you guys look at the budgets more in detail. You know, if Marlis can have her staff look at our budget today, where we're at overall, we're still gonna be within the parameters of our budget. We're not gonna exceed that. I don't foresee that happening. Because we're so far late into the year already. But accepting these salaries, or looking at accepting these salaries, and allowing me then to advertise, to tell somebody when they call or respond to this, that this is the starting salary. This is the salary, and not the conversation of, it might be, not sure. I think that's gonna take people, and they're just gonna say, I want nothing to do with that. I'm not gonna uproot my family, leave my job for a possibility, not knowing where you stand on that.
Yeah, nobody would ever do that.
No.
no,
So. Yeah, and if we wait,
Well, I mean, I would just present the idea that we make the motion that you do that, and that pretty much cements us doing it. Amending a budget that's not gonna go over, and like I said, it doesn't correlate to we could adjust those salaries in your current budget, and we can cut your budget in October, and you're in the same boat.
I don't think the budget as overall needs to be amended, because we're still within the parameters.
Right.
We're gonna fall within the
But
parameters
I'm
of the
just-
budget,
Right.
but, it's the salaries issues and the benefit part.
Well, my suggestion would be, if we're gonna do that, then let's just make a motion that these are gonna be the salaries you list the job at. I mean, it's the same difference.
I would love to change that advertisement today if possible.
Right, I mean, if we agree, if we make the motion and it passes, that's how we're gonna do it. I mean, that pretty much, there's really no going back on that either, so. I mean, that's about as much a commitment as changing this year's budget for you is. It's basically the same. I mean, the preliminary budget is, to go through and change a preliminary budget after bringing somebody on would be pretty foolish, so.
Well, how would that affect the other salaries though? I mean, if you're looking at not changing those until somebody's hired, or changing those.
Right, but I mean,
The next pay cycle
my point
or-
is, if we make the motion and we pass it to adjust these salaries even to now,
Mhm.
and then your budget would go into the red, we amend the budget later on, I mean, we
Right.
have the reserves,
Yeah, you-
and probably wouldn't even go over anyway, that's like the discussion we had, so.
Yeah.
The roundabout way would be for us to just vote on if we're gonna do it right now, cause if we're not gonna do this, then we're probably not gonna amend the budget either, so I mean, you're basically in the same, that's the same decision, so. I mean, I'm in favor of changing those salaries now.
so then all the employees right now, their salaries are changed.
Right, the chief deputy would go to that, because that would again do what we've been talking about, which is creating the separations within the department. So, I mean, if you do one, you gotta do them all.
It's different responsibilities
Right.
with those separations and so
You
forth.
can't really raise your starting wage without dealing with the current employees too, otherwise you
Right.
create that, you know, and that's the
Yeah.
whole thing we've been trying to avoid,
See a lot
so.
of animosity there.
Well, like I said,
You're talking, and the sheriff and everybody's wage would be adjusted.
that'd be the entire
Have to be,
department.
yeah.
So, I mean, you're gonna be doing the same thing if you amend a budget, am I wrong, Marlis? I mean,
No, I'm for raising the wages without a
I
doubt.
mean, if we increase the wages, if we just increase the wages now, and if the budget needs to get amended at the end of the year, we amend the budget, just like we do to all the budgets, if there's any difference. Which we might have to amend the budget, but that still might not mean there's a shortfall, there just might be a difference in the budget, and if it's shorter than that, we don't amend the budgets anyway, right?
You wouldn't amend, if you're gonna adjust the salaries now, you wouldn't amend the budget, you would just make a motion to adjust the salaries, and then at the end of the year, if he goes over the budget, then you amend the budget.
Exactly, if we make these changes and we still don't go over budget, then we don't amend the budget at the end of the year anyway, so we'd only do it if we went over the budget, so.
But I see other departments where they're up 30 to 52%. We gotta go along with all that and all these other departments also.
No, I don't think we have to have a commitment to every department, but the departments we need to make a commitment to get folks in here, we have to do something. I mean, you know, it sounds good to talk about it till budget time, then budget time comes and we get hesitant, just like all the other commissioners of the past, and that's I'm speaking against everything I've even stood for, in the sense that spending more money is not the ideal goal, but we are in a time, it doesn't matter. I mean, think of something in your lives you're not spending more money on right now. I mean, just think about it, there just isn't, and I'm not trying to use it as an excuse or sound like we just have to do it, but it's a pretty obvious situation that we are getting out-competed in the market everywhere. I mean,
No, I think everybody here is in agreement to raise the wages, without a doubt. The question is, how much? You know, we're looking at, I was thinking 55, and it's listed 70. So we're basically 5,000 off.
right, but like I said before, we're really not 5,000 off, because he's gonna start them out at 5% less than that for
Well, unless
probation
they're
period.
qualified.
Yeah, but they're still gonna go through his probation
Even
process.
if you're
Well,
qualified.
you still go.
That's
with probation.
everybody, that doesn't matter.
So they still wouldn't start at the 70.
Absolutely. You can come here with 20 years of experience.
Okay,
You're
that's
gonna
my
have that.
question.
That's what I'm telling you, we're
So, but then
debating
the only ones it really affects are the ones on staff.
the current staff,
Right.
They're the ones that actually would get, additional 15 or whatever.
which I
See,
would
but then
say,
that's gonna, like I said, that's gonna happen with the road department when they come in there too.
Exactly,
They're gonna,
exactly.
you know, they need people too, we need people out there too.
right,
So all those
it's
employees
gonna
are
have
gonna
to
start
happen.
now too,
I
then.
can
They're
tell
gonna have
you,
to
I
get
can
that.
tell you from the folks that I'm talking to, when I go out and I'm going on my jobs, I'm pumping their septic tank and they wanna talk about the roads or anything, and they, have you found anybody? Oh no, what are you advertising at? Well, we're $22 to $24 an hour. Well, that's just not enough, you're not gonna get anybody. I mean, even the understanding, it's reluctant coming from the people, but they even understand that we need to be more competitive. I'm not saying we need to be the top market earners, but I mean, let's just say we start out and we're overpaying for some of these positions. I mean, that can be metered down throughout the years too. You know, we've been in the situation where we've given larger raises than we wanted to because we fell behind. That's really not a good situation either. I mean, even if you're setting the market for now, it won't be forever. Like Gary had a great point. Every other county around us is gonna be having the same conversation. 6 months to a year from now, this market number could go up 10, 20%. And now you're right in the ballpark for where you would be, would be one of the first ones.
And I think.
And nobody's gonna
going
stay stagnant, I can guarantee that.
forward- But going forward to having the grade and step increase or structure.
Yeah.
The grade and step structure that we're looking at adopting hopefully this fall will play a big part in going forward for Emmons County for the next foreseeable few years. Having a structure, a plan in place. We've never had that in years past. And hopefully we'll adopt that, because that gives you some guidelines as a board, and even us as department heads or elected officials, on future salaries and so forth, having that grade and step structure in place.
Well, that's good for everybody,
Yeah.
even the people seeking the job.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, and I appreciate the conversation we're having, and I'm glad we're having it this way. We're breaking a mold. I mean, this is tough times, but, I mean, we talk about inflation, everything else. We're going outside of our comfort zone on everything. But at the same time, everybody's doing it. I mean, it's not easy to go tell people that we're gonna be raising these wages and doing this stuff, but it has to be done. I don't see any other way around it, guys. I just don't. I know it seems like It needs to be thought over a lot harder, but it's obvious that we are going to continue to suffer trying to recruit for these positions, and we need to fill these positions. They've gotta be filled. I think there just comes a point where it's like we talked about paving roads over the years and all this other stuff. Somebody needed to be the bad guy and nobody wanted to be it, and right now it's us. And I don't even think we're being the bad guy. I tell you, if you go around the county and you talk to some of these folks, when it comes to especially the roads in the sheriff's department, I think you will find that most of them are gonna agree that this stuff needs to go up, and it needs to go up significantly.
Yeah, I would attest to the same conversation that I had in Westfield, Strasburg, Hague. I've had it up north with other citizens that they agree. I mean, adjustments gotta be made.
Yep.
If you can't fill the positions you currently have, and you can't keep the guys you got now, you need to make some
We're
adjustments.
getting dangerously close to not being able to fulfill a lot of obligations that we have. And it's obvious in the road department over the years, we're short of guys, we're not getting things done. We've had them conversations with this room full of people, and the sheriff's department is right there, if not, I mean, they're doing the best job they can, but we're struggling. And I think this needs to happen, so. But anyway, I guess for the sake of time too, because we're going over, if we're gonna raise these salaries, I think we should just make a motion to do it, so Gary's got something to go off of.
I would entertain, like, in August, take effect.
Well, I think we'll just give you permission to, I mean, just advertise it now, and if you get somebody in, I mean. So is somebody gonna make a motion on a salary adjustment?
I'll make a motion.
So you're making a motion, and what's the salary adjustment gonna be, the preliminary budget amount?
Yep.
Okay, now, do you want in your motion to go in effect for everybody right away?
Well, why don't, so yeah, so the motion would be,
Well, it's just for the sheriff's department for now.
for right now,
That's what I mean.
you're gonna accept
So
the,
that would go in effect,
Well,
what,
it
the
would
first
almost
of
have to,
August 1st or
because-
something?
It would almost have to, because if he hires somebody, then there'd be all
I
this
know, I agree, that's
animosity.
what I'm asking, yeah.
okay, so Commissioner Everly's making the motion that we advertise current vacancies at the preliminary 2024 budget amount. And move the current employees to the preliminary 2024 budgeted amount, effective August 1st.
Or should we go September 1st?
Well, I think you might as well, if he wants to
Well, you
list
gotta
them
advertise
immediately,
it,
we're
so you
already
have
in
to go
July,
August
so
1st, yeah.
I'd say you'd have to do August 1st.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that sound like the motion you wanted to make?
I think so, I guess, if he doesn't get anybody for 2 months.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you make it effective August 1st, it's already there, I mean, that's.
That's all I was getting at, is that if you don't get anybody to apply any for the next month or two,
Yeah, but you're not expending the money until, so we have a motion on that, is there a second, so we can get into discussion instead of discussing it without a second? Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Holm, now we're in discussion. I think discussion would be is that preliminary budget amount is only gonna get listed if you don't hire someone till October, none of those funds are getting expended, so. You know,
Okay.
that job could be out there listed, but none of them dollars are going out well, I mean, you're gonna probably create that raise for them other guys, but if you're gonna accept that.
That's the only thing I was referring to, is the raise for the
So
other
if he
guys.
doesn't get anybody for 2 months, I mean,
Right,
we're
but
holding
the
off.
current employees are still gonna get that raise.
Can a guy hold off until he gets somebody hired? If he hires somebody, okay, well then we're gonna start this. Or something.
Well, that really,
That's what I was referring to, the same thing.
sure.
If he doesn't get anybody hired until the end of the year, well, then it's gonna
Right.
be as the budget would have been.
Well, the only thing that I would say is a part of this raise is obviously for the continued retention of the guys that are gonna be working their butts off for the shortfall of it, and that's where, you know,
Oh, that's true too.
I mean, that's the whole point of it. If Gary has obviously created a step and grade system where his current employees are also seeing the value of probably working a lot more overtime than they're normally used to until these positions get filled, so. That being said, and if he doesn't get anybody hired for a while, there's money in that budget from them other salaries, so that's.
Yeah, we're not worried about the budget.
All right, but, well, and I'm just saying too, though, I mean, we're talking about making a commitment a few months earlier than we're really prepared to for for money that we're not used to.
And the other guys,
But-
his other deputies, you gotta step up a notch. I mean, they're.
Well, they already are, that's the
Yeah,
trouble. I mean,
right.
you're having the issue where these guys
So
are,
if they are stepping up a notch already, well, what's, maybe it's not the end of the world.
no, I don't really think it is, because, I mean, let's just look at the situation where these guys get burned out in the next 3 months and one more of them leaves. I mean, you're gonna be in dire straits, I mean,
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
we have to address these issues now, I think, so. We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on the topic? Not hearing any. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Commissioner Materi says nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, the next
The other
budget,
ones are gonna go faster, right?
what was on your agenda?
Coroner, county jail, police contract.
Coroner budget, we normally budget $2,400 a year for coroner services, basically. I am also the acting coroner. There are certain deaths and incidences that are required to be involved with a coroner. Fatalities, suicides, unexplained or suspicious death, unattended death sometimes fall into that category. Death in a nursing home that is a result of a fall or other type of incident has to be, looked at by the coroner, reports and all that other stuff, autopsies that maybe have to be performed. Looking at increasing that to $3,600 a year versus $2,400, simply because we've already maxed out our budget for this year now. There's a month where you don't have any coroner cases, and then there's another month where you might have 2 or 3. You just don't know. It's one of those things, you just never know what you're gonna have. So that's the reasoning for that increase of $1,200 for that position. And that's only paid on a case-by-case basis. That's it, so. Any questions there? Okay. What else do you have?
County jail,
Yeah.
looks like it's the same.
Yeah, again, I don't see a need to increase that. There are some changes that are gonna take place that may affect us, but I think we'll still be fine on the county jail. We do a vast majority, probably 95% of our housing of inmates, we contract with the Burley Morton Detention Center in Bismarck. They have indicated that they're gonna go up in their daily rates today. Their rate is $75 a day per inmate. They're looking at increasing that January 1st to $100 a day. Stutsman County in Jamestown is looking at maybe $125 a day possibly, but we have a contract with Stutsman County. We have 6 contracts. We've got Burley County Morton Detention Center, Stutsman County, Mercer County, McLean County, YCC with the Youth Correctional Center in Mandan we've got, and then through Youth Works in Bismarck too. Burley County is pretty much the only facility we've used in 2 years for adult. YCC is intended for juveniles, and you have to meet a certain criteria in order to get housed at YCC. There's a chart that we have to use. We haven't had anybody at YCC this year, Youth Correctional Center, but we have had to utilize the Youth Works in Bismarck. It's a less restrictive type facility for runaways, things like that, and we have a contract with them, I think $1,700 a year to provide that service. They don't fit the criteria to go into YCC, but they are a threat to themselves or a runaway. We've had to use that facility close to a half a dozen times this year already. So, but that's who we contracted with. So there's no change in the budget for the jail this year. Everything pretty much remains the same. I think we'll still be fine even if Burley County goes to $100 a day per inmate. Right now we've had for 2023, we have had a total of 342 days at Burley County that we've had someone there. Right now, I think we have 2 inmates there right now, so pending their trials and things like that. So Most people are PTA'd. We try to PTA or promise to appear, if it's a non-violent or non-felony type offense. We don't incarcerate if we don't have to, if they're not a flight risk. But that's not always the case. So we've had a total of 342 days that we've had to pay Burley County so far this year for multiple inmates. So. Any questions on that, commissioners?
Police contract is the next one.
Police contract. Again, police contract is, we have got a 5-year lock on the contract with the city of Lytton to provide law enforcement services and so forth. That contract today, and has been, is $40,000 a year that's paid to the county for the county to provide those services. The current contract is valid until, I think the end, yep, December 31st, 2024 is when we'll have to renegotiate this or revisit this issue at that point.
And what are they paying?
40,000. 40? Yeah, 40,000.
Any other city paying anything?
Nope, nope.
Lytton's the only city.
Lytton is the only thing. We spend 60% of our time here in town on different things, more people, more problems. There's also the city ordinance issues and so forth. I don't know what the city is gonna do going forward because they no longer have a municipal judge. He resigned. He resigned his position, I'll leave it at that. And so whether they contract those municipal judge positions or duties on with district court, they have that option, the city can. But that's something the city of Lytton will have to discuss because the prior judge resigned as of July 1st.
Who was your chief?
Jay Schmaltz,
Okay.
yeah. So, I don't know what they're gonna do there. My guess is they'll have to try and enter into some type of contract with district court to hear those city cases. For their city ordinances and so forth, so.
They also had, didn't they have a budget, a contract for, money going toward the vehicle?
Of that 40,000,
It's in the 40,000?
yes, it's included in the 40,000.
Okay.
So 10,000 goes into an equipment fund for equipment replacement, could be a car, could be a radar unit, whatever. 30,000 goes into the general fund, yeah. And the reason that the figure that is listed for that police contract is 25,000, that is what I expect to use up in 2024. That will probably be used for some of the equipment for the vehicle, installation costs, labor costs, for that stuff. So it's a $40,000 a year contract that they pay the county in monthly installments. And the 25,000 in that budget is what I expect to expend in 2024. That is replacement of 2 vehicles. We'll have to have some new equipment put in, those expenditures for the labor costs, stuff like that. So, you know, some of the cars, the radar units will be replaced. End of life for some of that electronic equipment is about 5 or 6 years. You start having problems with it. So usually 5 to 6 years, 7 on a good year, we'll try and replace that equipment. It's about $3,000 for a radar unit. We're looking at replacing our laptop computers, which will be 5 years old, update those. It's always an equipment issue, especially with electronic devices, and everything's got an end-of-life service on it at some point, so. But, anything else on that particular budget?
And that's good till the end of 2024?
The current contract is good till the end of '24.
Because I got a feeling they're gonna do something.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anything else here, guys, on that one?
Next one is 911.
911. Yeah, okay. So you've noticed we've got 2 budgets, 911 and 911 general, okay? The 911 budget is the standard budget for 911. The reason the 911 general exists is because the money coming in for the $1.50 fee does not pay for everything to have that service. So you have to supplement the 911 budget with the general 911 budget, okay, to offset some of those costs. Little history here. So the state of North Dakota has a budget cycle, biennium budget cycle. Every 2 years they do their budget when legislators meet. And their budget cycle begins January 1st this year, this month, 2023, and runs through 2025.
July,
Or July, excuse me,
Yep.
yeah, July. July 2023 to July 2025 is the state's budget cycle. It's a 2-year cycle because of legislators' issues. So, the fee that we pay, Emmons County pays North Dakota State Radio, the old fee was $1.36 per telephone line. That's landline through Beck Communications or various cellular lines. We pay state radio $1.36 per telephone line. And we have a record of how many lines that we have in the county. That fluctuates every month or every quarter. So as of July 1st, 2023, the new biennium, the new state radio fees did go up. Actual expenditures is $1.39, 3 cents per telephone. Here's where it gets a little complicated. So follow me. So state radio provides 911 services for 25 rural counties in North Dakota. There's a total of 53 counties in the state of North Dakota. They provide 911 services for 25 out of these 53 counties. And there's a cost factor. Legislators a few sessions back determined that every biennium state radio has to calculate and project what is the actual cost based on, for every telephone line in a county, what is the actual cost to provide Emmons County the service that they get, based on their overall budget, cost factor that the state has, and that's been determined now to be $1.39 per telephone line. McKenzie County, honey hole of oil development out west. They utilize state radio. They're one of the 25 counties. They have their own dispatch center for their local law enforcement, but they do not take 911 calls. They only handle non-emergency calls, radio traffic to their local law enforcement, ambulance services, fire departments, and so forth. Everything 911 related goes into state radio. You dial 911 in McKenzie County, Watford City, it goes into state radio. So they're part of that 25 county formula. McKenzie County has indicated they might drop out of the 25 county that utilize state radio and build a bigger and larger dispatch center to handle their call volume and start taking their own 911 calls. The sheriff in McKenzie County, Matt Johansson, used to be a deputy with me here. He's a sheriff out there. We talked on a regular basis. I just asked him if we could go, what are the probabilities that you will stop using state radio and build your own PSAT? He says that he doesn't see it happening in the next year for sure. It's not gonna happen. Going back to the local fee here, $1.39. Not state radio, not knowing if McKenzie County is going to drop out of the 25 county service agreement. They advise every county to budget for $1.51, just in case McKenzie County pulls out and the cost factor for the remaining 24 counties goes up. So my budget is based on $1.51. The actual cost is $1.39 as long as McKenzie County is involved in this process. And for the next foreseeable 12 months, they will be, according to the sheriff. Okay, well, my budget is based on $1.51 as a precautionary measure that we make sure that we have that funding. Any funding that again is left over is gonna go back into the general fund at the end of it. But I wanted to cautiously budget enough money and not budget at $1.39. And then McKenzie County pulls out in 6 months and now it's charging us $1.51 and we don't have the funds and we have to make amendments on the budget. So the figures I have here are based on $1.51 per telephone line. But the actual cost is $1.30.
a lot of the difference on that when you count the lines, I mean, we're talking a difference of a couple $1,000s.
Right.
I mean, right, I mean, your difference of maybe over budgeting just to be precautionary is a difference of
And
maybe
you have to keep in
$6,000.
mind, and again, 911, the 911 fee that's collected by any jurisdiction in the state of North is not enough to support the 911 service. And whether it's Fargo, Minot, Bismarck, doesn't make any difference. It doesn't. We pay state radio $1.39 for every telephone line to take care of that service for us. We only collect $1.50. So at least 11 cents left over for all the other expenditures to have that service for instance. It can't be. So years ago, when we first got 911, the state radio fee was probably less than 20 cents per line, and we were making money. We had money in the bank, we had, you know, but that's not the issue today. It barely covers the cost here for state radio.
They're still up there.
Yeah, well, talking to Sheriff Johansson, I mean, for them to invest in a new PSAP center, hire 6 to 8 more additional employees, they can barely keep their staff there now. They just don't know if they're gonna pull the trigger on that or. So it might happen, but it ain't gonna happen in the next one.
I think that's it for your budget, Sunday.
Coroner 911,
911 general,
yeah,
which
I believe so.
county general and coroner and county jails.
Oh, and the other budget that was there was siren budget, which is now expunged. It doesn't exist. That was for the radio, for the new radio system coming into the state. So other than that, we're covered.
All right,
Okay, anything else, guys? Okay.
that's it. Thanks, Gary.
Yep, thank you.